This 5-year-old boy already weighs 45 kilos. However, when examined by the doctor, it was said to be very normal because both of his parents are world champion sumo wrestlers. Moreover, he has a special physique. Everything he eats is absorbed and converted into fat. Hearing this, his grandparents and father were very happy because the son takes after his father, not the neighbor. The doctor also declared that with such an oversized body, he should never expect to be thin for his entire life. Later, when he goes to school, he definitely won't be able to make friends. Thaktian immediately panicked and squeezed his son's hand tightly. Son, you don't want to be fat. From then on, every day he trained diligently. But his weight didn't decrease at all. At 7 years old, he already weighed 83 kilos. At 9 years old, he could swim continuously for 7 kilometers. He even defeated a baby shark barehanded. Yet his weight remained 120 kilos on the night road racing cars sped by. Suddenly, Thaktian wildly ran through the night, dragging 10 different wheels, shocking the boys on the street. Thaktian, 11 years old, in spring, he climbed up cliffs with all his strength. In summer, he would hang upside down with one hand. In autumn, Thaktian lifted weights using only one hand. In the cold winter, when snow covered the paths, he still trained without pause. Now the scene shifts to a very modern school. We see a person plugging an electric cable into a power strip on a table stacked with various disc players. At the same time, a boy vigorously presses the buttons on a game controller. He's playing while humming his favorite song. At that moment, a paper ball suddenly hits him right on the head. Before the confused eyes of the teenage girl, she whispers hoarsely, "Studying in class, playing games, aren't you afraid? The teacher will find out." Hearing this, he sneers, "Confiscate, what a joke." The teacher's knows. How would she know? I'm sitting in the spot protected by the guardian angel for the whole class. Behind him is Thaktian. His body is bigger than the teacher's, almost blocking the other students. Thaktian, 6 years old, 210 pounds. What the doctor said when he was little was only half true. Thaktian probably won't be able to get thin anymore. He really doesn't have many friends. At that moment, the subject teacher spoke up to instruct, "This period your class will have a discus throwing competition. Thienka has arrived. Thienka has arrived." The female students immediately responded, "We know, sir." As Thaktian stepped forward, the students' eyes glued to him as if they had just seen a celebrity pass by. "Thienka, does you still remember me?" Thienka's face changed while the female student almost lost her mind, raising a stack of money. "Dad, Thien. Ka, please protect my allowance for the guy over here." The girl shouted with a trembling tone, Thienka, I was bullied at the school gate yesterday. Please help us scare them off." The person beside her quickly handed over a game console. "Here you go." At that moment, someone excitedly took out an expensive snack. Thienka, please sit in front of me during the next test." "Here's a Snickers for you." Thaktian immediately raised his hand to activate the no snacking mode. "No need for Snickers. I'm on a diet. Bring the bitter melon celery juice here quickly." Hearing this, the person immediately pulled out a cup of green juice emitting a pungent flavor. "Yes, big brother. I just happened to have some for you." Just as Thaktian was sipping through the straw, he suddenly changed his tone. "You guys." Thaktian rolled his eyes, looking around to see his friends crowding, yelling his name like fans meeting an idol. "I consider you guys friends. But you guys treat me like a dad." Even so, the students kept shouting loudly, Thienka. At that moment, a ball suddenly hit him in the face. A scratch appeared on Thaktian's face, neither big nor small. Across from him, a silver-haired guy stomped hard on the ball with his foot. He pointed and ordered, "Hey, fatty, you're the Class 10 gang leader, right? How did you get this fat?" Then the silver-haired guy pleaded, "We're short on money. Can you help us out a bit?" Hearing this, Thaktian stared at him with disdain. "Silverhair, why are you acting all high and mighty like you're golden?" Interrupting, "Stop standing there. Move your feet quickly." Meanwhile, groups of students gathered in 2s and 3s, discussing who are those two. The person beside frowned and observed, "They're from grade 12. The newly risen thugs lately seems like they're the boxing club." Hearing this, the other person couldn't help but worry. "Boxing isn't that game over for us." A weak voice came from the other side. "That's right. It's over." Turning back to Thaktian, he just sighed deeply. Thaktian turned and took heavy steps backward. He boldly took the ball from the female student's hand. Just as she swung her arm to throw the ball, it had already fallen into Thaktian's hand. Before leaving, he politely asked to borrow the ball for a bit. The disgruntled female student shouted, "Thaktian, what are you doing?" Immediately, Thaktian forcefully threw the ball toward the silver-haired and blonde. A powerful voice said, "They're finished. Dust rose thickly and then vanished in an instant. The ball pinned straight into the goal, leaving a lasting mark. A clear, golden voice said, "Because all the gangs around here have been smashed to pieces by Thien Ka." Witnessing this, the silver-haired guy gaped in horror. The blonde face turned, pale eyes rolled back. Meanwhile, Thak Thien stood still without moving. He picked up another ball, his eyes blazing, as he stared straight at the group. Yeah, seeing that the silver-haired guy ran off on all fours. "Just wait, I'll get you," Blonde shouted as he ran. "We'll be back." Right after the fight ended, the group of students grew more fired up. Dad, dad, dad. Not repeating old stories, basically, Thak Thien has no enemies. Tick Mike turned his head to look at the female student, who had frozen into a statue. Only after a while did Thak Thien relax his arm. In another corner, the silver-haired and blonde guys were panting like sows. At this moment, Blonde was so frustrated he couldn't help but yell loudly, "Big brother, die, you've lost face so badly. If you don't regain your dignity, how will you even survive?" Hearing this, he angrily grabbed the silver-haired guy's collar and shook him wildly. "Blonde, how are you supposed to get it back? Just try telling me how. Is he even human? He's a tank." Facing his strange expression, Blonde became confused. What should we do? The silver-haired guy casually threw him aside. At the same time, he hinted that revenge wasn't impossible. At night, the scene shifts to a stunningly beautiful area. It's an unusual architecture inside. Strange sounds keep echoing. The basketball court starts shaking violently. The spectator seats bounce wildly too. The goalpost shakes more and more intensely. After a while, only Thak Thien's whole body can be seen bouncing nonstop. He ran while tightly gripping two dumbbells in his hands. At the same time, Blonde sneaked a staring look at Thak Thien. He was stunned and confused. What is this guy doing? At that moment, the silver-haired guy's voice echoed. "I've asked the observers here for a long time. Every day he comes here to train until the gym closes. At this time, basically no one else is here. Plus, he's so strong, but still has a reason to come here to train every day. I think..." Blonde looked confusedly down at the silver-haired guy. Suddenly, he stood up abruptly. He turned and grabbed Blonde's shoulder tightly. "If we keep provoking him like this, I'm afraid he won't be able to run away like today anymore." Hearing this, he couldn't help but feel a little scared. But outside, it can't continue either. "You at least have to discipline him, big brother. How can you just back out?" The silver-haired guy silently bent down, searching for something. Then he spoke back, "No." After a while, he pulled out a lock and some glue. Immediately, the silver-haired guy approached the door. At the same time, he tightly wrapped the chain. He used force to press two locks together. Then the silver-haired guy locked the door horizontally with the padlock. He didn't miss a single door just in case. The silver-haired guy continued locking the doors with keys. In the blink of an eye, the door was completely secured by the final lock. The silver-haired guy frantically took some wood and hammered it hard. Finally, every step was completed thoroughly. Later, Blonde helped by gluing a straight line down one side. The silver-haired guy calmly took out a cigarette and lit it. He strolled casually down the hallway, ignoring that Thak Thien was locked inside. Immediately after, Silverhair brazenly flicked the half-smoked cigarette behind him. He just smiled smugly. Vang Hao didn't forget to turn his head and check once more. A few minutes later, Thak Thien was still running hard. After a while, he finished the last steps of his run. Thak Thien fumbled, searching through his backpack. His eyes looked around restlessly. He then took out a large scale. Along with that was a plastic basket full of balls. Finally, there was a tray with something unclear inside. Immediately after, Thak Thien quickly took an object out of the bag. He suddenly took a deep breath. Thak Thien blew forcefully into the object with his mouth. Thak Thien brazenly pulled out a kiddie pool. He marked the water level before and after he lay in it. Next, he dropped a fixed weight of steel balls inside to match the water level he previously marked. Finally, by weighing the pile of steel balls, he could know his final weight. The needle on the display gradually started to move. At the same time, he silently waited for a long moment. His eyes stayed fixed on the scale. At that moment, the needle suddenly moved quickly. Finally, it stopped at a number. Thak Thien immediately calculated 200 plus 200 plus 21 is 421 km. He helplessly shouted, "Oh my God, I can't believe I gained 4.2 more pounds." Just then, suddenly, the opposite side caught fire. Smoke immediately invaded the room, creeping toward where Thak Thien was standing. He turned around bewildered. The smoke hit his face directly. At that moment, he suddenly became fully alert. Thak Thien stood still like a statue, eyes staring intently at the smoke and flames ahead. Without thinking, he immediately grabbed the kiddie pool beside him. "Is this really fire?" Thak Thien quickly poured water over himself. Inside, he silently made a decision. Forget how much I can handle. The important thing is to find a way out first. Facing the urgent situation, Thaktian reached for the door. But after a moment, the door wouldn't open. After a few more sounds from outside, it could be seen the door started to warp. In the blink of an eye, it deformed abnormally. The corners of the door suddenly cracked open at the top edges. Immediately after, the door split into two parts. From inside, Thaktian put all his strength into pushing the door wide open. He pressed down hard on the metal sheet, his mind nearly in chaos. At this moment, Thaktian's face was pale. He struggled to breathe. Thaktian reached out into the void. Is it over? The area where he stood began to blaze fiercely. The next morning, sunlight shone down on the rubble. Thaktian reached up through the hard layer of stone. He pushed strongly against the cement wall. Thaktian leaned up and sat up, shouting with all his might. At this moment, Thaktian looked around in shock. He was still alive. He looked confusedly at the mirror opposite him. The moment he saw himself in the mirror, Thaktian was stunned. His eyes opened wide. In that moment, time seemed to stop. The gaze met was deep and sudden. After a while, Thaktian finally regained his composure. He lightly touched the mirror. Good morning, brother. Thaktian put on a horrified expression. You too, trapped inside by the fire. Immediately after, he almost lost control and shouted, say something, please. Thaktian crazily held onto the mirror tightly. At that moment, his fingers gripped it so hard they started to bleed. Thaktian slowly raised his hand. Blood kept flowing from his palm. He began to feel the unfamiliar face in the mirror. From inside, a familiar voice echoed, brother, you're so handsome. At that moment, his heart raced. He dumbfoundedly said, you really are the fat brother who transformed from a duckling into a swan now. In another scene, police ambulance and fire trucks rushed on the highway. Meanwhile, Thaktian slowly turned his head toward the smoke. He involuntarily shivered. It's over. Almost forgot this was the scene of the fire. I don't have a single piece of cloth to cover myself. If I get caught, it's over for me. Thinking this, Thaktian darted his eyes around. In this critical moment, I have to get out of here quickly. First, I need to find something to wear. At that moment, the flag slapped right into his eyes. It fluttered faintly in the wind. Thaktian stared helplessly at the flag. This is Dongsun City, Nanjing Road, Pedestrian Street, People's Square. At this time, groups of people were bustling back and forth. Suddenly, a figure rushed past, causing two female students to drop their ice cream. Witnessing that scene, the eyes of both girls suddenly lit up. The aunts and uncles were enthusiastically practicing dance. Just then, that figure dashed by once more. The fans in their hands immediately fell to the ground. The group watched the figure with mesmerized eyes. In another corner, the driver gripped his phone tightly. I said, you better update the character and cards quickly, or we'll lose hundreds of thousands every day. Then the naked figure of Thaktian slammed right into his eyes. The car suddenly crashed straight into the tree on the opposite side. The driver kept crying, the series doesn't matter, Manhua, and money don't matter. I've had enough in this life. Under the blazing sun, Thaktian charged forward with full spirit. The other person couldn't help but exclaim, I'm probably witnessing a muscular body covered only by a bright red cloth. Hundreds of eyes followed Thaktian's figure. The other person quietly confirmed the pinnacle of male beauty. People parted to both sides. Hearts turned into flying peach-shaped icons everywhere. Meanwhile, Thaktian kept running enthusiastically. His face had turned pale without him noticing. In the bustling square, the group's gaze never left him. Channeling the spirit of exercise, showing a youthful style, the crowd of female students went wild and shouted in unison. Big brother, are you showing off your youthful energy? Hey, you're such a pervert. Big brother, your naked body is so adorable. But he's also so handsome. The group nearly lost their minds and surged forward. Big brother, can I add you on WeChat? Big brother, how do I get to your heart? Big brother, can I run with you? Big brother, leaves return to the tree. I want to return to you. Meanwhile, Thaktian was running fiercely but now held his face blushing all over his ears and cheeks. He silently hissed inside, how can I face this? Moreover, the past scene replayed again. The crazed female students surged forward. Tianka is here. Tianka is here. Tianka. Do you still remember me? Tianka Tachtian couldn't help but marvel how opposite this is. Thinking this, Thaktian broke out in sweat. Damn it, I originally wanted to quietly go home, but more and more people keep showing up. I have to run right now. Behind him, the crazy fans chased after Big Brother. Big Brother, don't leave us behind. Right at that moment, Thaktian suddenly froze. Also, since the start, his stomach began to growl. I suddenly feel so hungry. At the school teacher's office, The homeroom teacher picked up the phone in shock. Thak Tien, excuse me, he shouted loudly. What? Sick. The homeroom teacher couldn't help but feel a bit incredulous. How could there still be a virus in this world that can make a brave teenager sick? At that moment, the homeroom teacher stared at the computer screen in horror. Virus T, biological hazard. A sudden thought flashed in his mind. Humanity is about to perish. Cut to Thak Tien's house. Inside, the computer was neatly placed on the desk. On the screen, dense lines of text appeared. Rapid weight loss. The cause of rapid weight loss. Why rapid weight loss? The cause of rapid weight loss. Images of rapid weight loss. At that moment, the TV suddenly lit up. Idol producer greets everyone. The other person politely greeted, I am a trainee this season, like singing, dancing, rapping, basketball. Meanwhile, Thak Tien stared at the screen with a serious expression. At the same time, the teenager started shaking his hips, singing, Next moment, come closer to me. At the same time, he suddenly danced with smooth hip sways. In that moment, the teenager turned to the fans. The dream is ready. On this side, Thak Tien quickly followed the move. Another teenager leaned upside down to the ground. Let music going round, round, round. Seeing that he happily joined in the sound round. The teenager on the other side swayed again to the dance. Let music go in round, round. Immediately, Thak Tien spun around and raised his hand, round. Meanwhile, the teenager slowly raised his hand. Hearing your encouragement, he hurriedly jumped along. His face was briefly sweaty. After a while, Thak Tien exhaled heavily. Just following along like this, I've already finished the dance. I seem to be able to imitate all the moves. The body is light-skinned, smooth and glossy. And with this appearance, compared to those in the group, I seem not to be inferior at all. He stared at the mirror, unconsciously touching his cheek. This is the unprecedented look of mine when I was thin. Thinking of this, Thak Tien's eyes almost lit up. He unconsciously smiled. Is this a dream? But the physical contact clearly told me this is reality. Immediately after, Thak Tien laughed out loud. No mistake, this is me. At that moment, his stomach growled loudly again. Thak Tien blankly looked down. I'm hungry, only to see his foot stomping on a pile of trash. Thak Tien quickly made a decision. I have to find food. Immediately, he hurried toward the noodle box. His inner self suddenly realized, right, this must be the 5th meal today. At that time, Thak Tien was always immersed in happiness, not yet realizing how scary this was. Cut 6 shifts scene to Shandong City's 6 People's Hospital. At the internal medicine office marked in English as internal medicine, chief physician's office. Inside, a plaque hung proudly on the wall gifted to the chief physician's office. Skilled doctor, excellent medical skills, Hua Tuo alive, noble medical ethics, 12/2018, presented by Mrs. Trio. At the same time, the doctor slammed his hand on the computer screen, the other hand tightly gripping his hair. After a while, he calmly spoke. So this is the yesterday me that Thak Tien didn't hide and confirmed. Yes. Then the doctor suddenly pointed to Hiemoam, and this is the now me, Thak Tien. Thak Tien instinctively replied, yes. This was his serious answer. The doctor suddenly changed his tone immediately after seeing the expression on his face. Thak Tien was momentarily bewildered. The doctor suddenly burst out emotionally loudly, questioning, You went to the training ground. What the hell kind of day is this? Anyway, let's do a full checkup first to see how it goes. As soon as he finished speaking, Thak Tien followed the instructions and went to the blood collection area. Then he stood straight to measure his height. Finally, Thak Tien's body was placed into a sensor machine for scanning. 2 hours later, the doctor clenched the paper in his hand, exhaling, impressive. Before the doctor were dozens, hundreds of rows of numbers continuously. Immediately, he spewed a series of nonsense. Blood pressure, blood fat concentration, various proteins. All your indicators have none above or below the arrows. Hearing this, Thak Tien's eyes widened to the max. The doctor suddenly concluded, all indicators are right in the middle. He frantically pulled his hair. If I hadn't seen you take the tests myself, I would think you were deliberately messing with me. I can't deny you don't have any disease. But seeing his bewildered face, the doctor bluntly declared, your health is a bit fake. At that moment, Thak Tien couldn't hide his dissatisfaction and stood up abruptly. He angrily shouted, so is this good or bad health after all? What are you even saying I lost weight so fast? And now I always want to eat something. I spent 38,000 yuan on tests, and the only result is I'm healthy. The doctor couldn't help but feel frustrated. How could I know you denied my 45 years of medical experience in just 2 hours? After a while, he answered resignedly, this is already in the realm of fantasy. I'll prescribe you some Chinese medicine to take. Half an hour later, at street number 10 in front of the hospital gate, the crowd was bustling. At the same time, Thaktian silently cursed. The results didn't show anything. Just bragging about basic health, but it's not true. Since the night of that explosion, I've felt it. At this moment, the nerves in his brain twitched involuntarily. On the other side of the street, a female student stared at Thaktian with admiring eyes. You look at you. The guy over there is so handsome. The person beside him wore an embarrassed expression. He looked this way, and hearing that the female student got more and more excited, he's looking at us. My heart is beating so fast, the friend started to get nervous. What should we do? Should we go say hello? At that moment, Thaktine's gaze was almost glued to the cake in her hand. His mouth unconsciously opened wide. Drool kept dripping down to his stomach. It was like a black hole, but in Thaktine's mind, only two words existed: food, 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 food. He stared intensely at the boy opposite him. Immediately after, Thaktine shifted his attention to the lollipop. In a flash, he turned to look at the young boy. This time, the soda hit Thaktine's eyes like a call of invitation. Thinking of this, he began to tear at his heart. Food, 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 food. Just then, Thaktine crazily ran straight ahead. The scene shifted to the BFC stall, a place not meant for people on a diet. The restaurant staff smiled brightly, welcoming the visit. May I ask, sir? Before she could react, Thaktin suddenly slammed his hand on the table. The restaurant staff looked surprised. Beautiful, so handsome. Is this Kabitan? She quietly spoke. Sir, you need... Meanwhile, Thaktin's eyes gradually went blank. He mustered all his strength to reply, I need. Thaktin paused a moment, then began ordering like reciting a chant. 1 spicy chicken fillet set, French fries, baked potato, burger, fried chicken, leg burger, grilled chicken, leg burger, salted egg, taro, fried potato, cake, roasted chicken fillet, hot wings, chicken nuggets, and other menu items, 2 portions. In an instant, darkness began to envelop the store. Meanwhile, Thaktin frantically shoved food down his throat, muttering nonstop. Spicy set French fries, baked potato burger, chicken, leg burger, twice as hungry, 2 portions. The staff looked horrified. Aren't you already eating? Despite that, Thaktin kept eating and ordering. Hands never stopping, mouth never pausing. Spicy set French fries, baked potato burger, chicken leg burger. He took a big bite, then continued ordering. Spicy set French fries, baked potato burger, chicken leg burger. In the blink of an eye, the first light of day covered the stall. At the same time, Thaktin's movement slowed down. Back at Thaktin's small house, the shadows of trees swayed together. Meanwhile, the table was piled high with fast food, although no one noticed when it arrived. Thaktin carefully thought, so after that fire that night, I finally... Thinking of this, he looked up at the pile of food. I'm full now. At that moment, Thaktin tilted his head to one side. I remember. Since childhood, he had a strong passion for hamburgers. Thaktin excitedly took a big bite. He stared wide-eyed at the pile of food on the grass. Mom, what is this? Looks so delicious. The mother smiled gently. As long as you're happy. Just then, the father suddenly stood up. He took slow steps toward Thaktin. The father gently stroked his hair. Then you must remember the names of these foods. The name is... Suddenly he raised his voice and emphasized, that's junk food. Back to reality, Thaktin cried painfully. Since then, he never ate any more junk food. Since then, to lose weight, he silently shed tears. He couldn't help but feel heartbroken. I have been vegetarian for a full 15 years. But the true soul inside Thaktin began to awaken. His eyes opened wide and the corners of his mouth unconsciously curled up. Right after Thaktin looked up with bright eyes, clearly seeing, I really miss them. At the same time, he wiped tears from the corner of his eyes for a long time. Then Thaktin sat waiting quietly on the floor. He kept thinking, I'm full, and I even brought leftovers home. It seemed like he had bought out all the fast food brands here. Thinking of this, Thaktin became serious. Then based on this amount of food, it should be enough. He immediately raised both hands and counted each finger. After a while, Thaktin suddenly froze. He looked shocked and concluded, one day. As this thought crossed his mind, Thaktin immediately wore a ridiculous, pitiful expression. He stared blankly, reaching for the weight loss pills. Then Thaktin poured them into a glass bottle. Thak Tien tightly gripped the bottle handle and walked straight ahead. At this moment, he bowed his head, his mind swirling with complex thoughts. When I was gaining weight, I seemed afraid to eat, but now I'm thin. Yet the amount of food has increased 20-fold. I can only use some herbal medicine, but the doctor isn't sure if it will help reduce it. Thinking this, Thak Tien gripped the bottle's handle tighter and tighter. He questioned himself, is this illness good or bad? At that moment, sudden heat shot straight into his hand. Thak Tien immediately panicked, shouting curses. Mom, it's too hot. Instantly, the teapot shattered into pieces, hot water splashing everywhere. Thak Tien collapsed to the ground. He held his face, crying like a child. Suddenly, Thak Tien opened his eyes. Something felt off. He only heard the warning sound of boiling water and quickly pulled his hand back. As for himself, even though hot water splashed all over him, he didn't feel any heat. A moment passed and he unconsciously felt that he was no longer himself. How could this water boil without heating? How is that possible? Chapter 8. Immediately after Thak Tien shifted his attention to his palm, only his hand, he hesitated as he gripped the thermometer tightly. Thak Tien slowly placed it near his index finger. In an instant, the thermometer shattered into hundreds of pieces. Without thinking, Thak Tien switched to using a meat thermometer. A robotic voice sounded briefly. Your grilling temperature is 230 degrees. At that time, Thak Tien took 3 days off to stay at home and underwent countless health tests. Finally, he understood the miraculous changes in his body. First, his height dropped from 220 centimeters to 187 centimeters. And his weight went from 48.0 kilos down to 62 kilos. Second, his appetite increased 20-fold compared to before. Third, his metabolism didn't change, but just eating caused his ears to quickly heat up. This was how he burned off the calories from food. But if Thak Tien tried to avoid eating, he would become hungry. His hands would uncontrollably emit heat multiple times. Thus, his body would instantly speed up the process of becoming thin again. The egg in Thak Tien's hand heated up and cracked open. From then on, he no longer feared burns all over his body. His hands could touch fire without any injury. Faced with these strange changes, Thak Tien only showed an indifferent expression. At that moment, the phone suddenly rang. He was startled and looked down, his eyes fixed on it. At the same time, Thak Tien became extremely hard to feed. The available balance wasn't bad, 0.3. The debt due this month was 8.09 yuan. A week later, the school scene appeared with a group of excited students entering the school. At a corner of the hallway, female and male students took turns gazing ahead with admiration. Meanwhile, 2 male students gathered. One suddenly announced, the body found at the scene was wearing Thien Ka's clothes. Thien Ka was injured in the fire and then hospitalized for surgery. The person next to him couldn't help but express disbelief. What? Didn't they say he was sick and asked for leave? At that moment, a voice rang straight into the group's ears. The male student silently looked down at the courtyard, his eyes filled with thought. Thak Tien hasn't been here for 8 days, 5 hours and 32 minutes. I miss him. Suddenly, he jerked awake, dropping the bottle in his hand. Before him was the handsome figure of Thak Tien. He kept waving his hand to greet him, exclaiming, truly, once a guy is handsome, he becomes like this. The female student watched Thak Tien's back, her heart fluttering. So beautiful, so handsome. The person beside her trembled and said, I'm about to faint. The male student continued reciting poetry. Men are left speechless. Women lose their minds. Every person stopped as Thak Tien paused. His eyes quickly scanned the group. Immediately, they widened their eyes and asked, who's your classmate? Hearing this, Thak Tien almost jumped in surprise. After half a day, no one basically recognized who I was. Tears welled unconsciously in his eyes. It's really sad, so sad I could die. There's a mysterious feeling when you've lost weight. Now no one recognizes me. He was startled by a clear voice from behind. Wait, hey you. As soon as he heard Thak Tien's voice, he slowly turned around. The female student looked up at him, her lips slightly moving. Could you be him? You're her. After hesitating a moment, she continued, the person who appeared in my dream yesterday. At the sudden question, Thak Tien almost froze. He lowered his face to the ground, his hand gently running through his hair. Then Thak Tien shouted in frustration, I can't take it anymore. I'm Thak Tien. The group was almost stunned. Everyone fell into a state of confusion. He pointed at the person opposite him. Don't act like you're listening to a ghost story. Need me to prove it, Vuong Si Mao. You were bullied by the seniors and beaten, but didn't dare to say anything. I even helped you fight back. No third party knows about this. After speaking, Thak Tien exposed another person. Lu Tuvi, last week, you reported cheating at the internet cafe and then got blocked by 17 guys at the door. I helped you get out of it. No third party knows about this either. He rested for a moment, then started yelling wildly. Trio Thak, you lost first on Teen Truck Street and got beaten by thugs so badly you peed your pants. I stepped up and chased them away. No third party knows. Faced with Thak Thien's sharp words, the group almost froze. He shouted again, Lu Tuhua, you broke my Nintendo Switch. Vuong Contact, the maid you bought, was robbed on the way, and I chased after them to get her back. Li Thiet, Vuong, you still owe me 3 cups of bitter melon juice. Stop talking. After a while, the crowd started to stir. It's Thak Thien. Another person quietly agreed, yes, Thak Thien. No doubt about it. In that moment, he couldn't help but wonder, but why are the female students almost losing their minds, shouting, oh my God, that's Thak Thien. The person next to him, immersed in a dream, he just got liposuction and went along with it. So handsome, shorter now, but still handsome. The female student pretended to fall back, quickly. Help me. I'm fainting here. The group of female students looked up at Thak Thien, their hearts stirred different from before. The group of male students turned around one by one, all shedding tears. No more little sisters from now on, only mom's girls. While everyone was a bit surprised, the homeroom teacher gently patted the back of their classmate Thak Thien, who was injured in last week's fire and had surgery to remove excess skin after liposuction, and now he's back. As soon as they saw Thak Thien, the students almost lost their minds and cheered loudly. Dad! 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 At this moment, he leisurely sat down, back at school now. After a while, the homeroom teacher took out a book, and his voice rang out evenly. Now we will start the lesson. At the same time, Simao let out a cold laugh, a wicked look on his face, then lifted the laptop on the desk. Then Simao quickly grabbed the game controller, excitedly pounding the controller on the desk in an instant. Suddenly, a heel appeared, and a woman jumped up on the desk, breaking the silence, starting to spread her arms wide, her legs bending slightly to the music. In a small corner, a female student secretly hid her beloved cat inside a box on the desk. Meanwhile, a male student boldly dozed off in class, in contrast to the excited boy controlling a wooden puppet with his hands. In another scene, a male student frowned, his teeth grinding loudly. In a flash, the classroom became lively, everyone absorbed in their own things. Over here, Simao skillfully controlled the game console. Right at that moment, a piece of paper was suddenly thrown straight at his head. The female student whispered, questioning if studying like this wouldn't get her caught by the teacher. What's going on? Sai quickly responded with a displeased look. What are you doing? He wasn't sulking at all, but smirked mockingly. What's the joke? It's just a teacher. How could that teacher possibly find out that guy's as big as an elephant and already came back, and I'm sitting behind him protecting all the students in the school? Right after that, Si boldly called out loudly, Dad Thak Thien. Hearing that, the homeroom teacher raised his head and looked straight at him. Under that cold gaze, Si suddenly felt a chill down his spine. He quickly lifted the computer. Immediately after, Sai hurriedly hid it in the drawer on this side. The female student immediately jumped down below. Meanwhile, the young girl hurriedly hid her beloved cat in the far corner of the room. The male student had somehow stepped back. Meanwhile, the teenager immediately sat up straight, witnessing the scene. The male student blinked in astonishment and confusion. The classroom returned to its usual quiet state. The female student hugged herself tightly, her whole body trembling violently. Why did he come back? The female student was so frustrated that she burst into tears. Not allowed to practice dancing at home, this is clearly the last place where I can pursue my dream. Nevertheless, the group of students silently watched the homeroom teacher's back. At the same time, Thak Thien attentively listened to the homeroom teacher's lecture. He suddenly turned around. His gaze shifted behind him. Right after Thak Thien raised his hand, waved, and smiled brightly. That posture of his hit the female student's inner heart directly. She silently screamed, damn, he's so handsome. During the noon break, the group of students walked back and forth along the hallway. At the same time, the silver-haired man stared into the distance, lost in thought. Suddenly, a voice shouted, Big brother. Vang Ho panicked. He yelled, Big brother, listen. I heard Thak Thien came back to school. Could he possibly beat us to death? He cried while clutching Vang Ho's collar tightly. How would I know? You asked me, then who do I ask? I didn't even know about the fire in the physical training yard that day. The guy was almost crying. But big brother, what should we do now? At that moment, Vang Ho's body trembled uncontrollably. He whispered, our locker is still over there. Sooner or later, it's going to be discovered. He had said before that he's still practicing assassination techniques. Hearing that, the silver-haired man suddenly relaxed his grip. He gritted his teeth. If that's the case, once we're committed, we have to follow through. Seeing that, Vang Ho hurriedly advised Big Brother, don't think like that. Compared to seeing you beaten nearly to death, I'd rather see you jump off a building. The silver-haired man angrily replied, please have a little faith in me. Don't worry, I've already prepared for this. The guy suddenly whispered in the wind. This time, can I not join? I'm scared to die, he smiled maliciously. Up to you, that's right. Do you want to die or not? Vang Ho honestly answered, no, no. Immediately, the silver-haired man turned and tightened his grip on him. But even if you don't join, if the fire arson gets found out in the future, you will still be beaten to death by him. Hearing that, Vang Ho couldn't hide his fear and started crying. The guy shrank into a corner, mumbling continuously, I was wrong. If I could do it all over again from the start, I would be a good person. He clenched his palm tightly and loudly reminded, stop crying. I told you I've already prepared for this. The silver-haired man turned his head with a scheming look. Don't you know that? Since he came back to school, he's already lost weight. I heard he went for liposuction. This is the opportunity. Vang Ho was momentarily confused. He stared at him with a puzzled look. After a while, the silver-haired man seriously explained, weight theoretically is very important in a fight, especially since he's a guy weighing up to 400 kg. He stopped and swiped his hand across his neck like a gang sign. Right now, he's probably at his weakest. As soon as he finished speaking, Back quickly turned and left. According to Tao, on some street at some old garage, cut to a bustling building outside already showing signs of age. At the same time, Vang Ho sneaked along. He glanced around nervously. Big brother, this is Back. No explanations needed. He sneered confidently. Vang Ho instinctively looked in the indicated direction. In front of him was Min Vuong, a man with a muscular body and terrifying tattoos. Next to him was a man in a suit gripping a metal rod tightly. Below, a young man openly spat. In that moment, the group simultaneously turned to look at them. Right then, Back spread his arms wide. The notorious gangsters from about 20 nearby streets, none are in prison. They're all here. Min Vuong suddenly interrupted, hey kid. His entire body was enveloped in a dark aura. Min Vuong glared at him, his voice hoarse. You guys really came here because of that. The leader of the Liu Ho gang stood still. At the same time, Min Vuong and Than Long laughed maniacally. If you had the guts to call us here, but can't make us interested. Saying this, he licked around his blade. You'll bleed, you know. The leader of the Truk, Tin Gang Than Long, inhaled deeply and replied, how dare you disturb us without reason? I came to find the big brothers because it's urgent. Without hesitation, he loudly declared, I came to you all to help sweep up Thok Thien. In that moment, Min Vuong suddenly staggered, then fell hard to the ground. Min Vuong slammed his hand down on the ground. Sweep, what I'm not going to die for that. Than Long and Back hesitated, big brother. He ignored them and shouted, isn't that right? Didn't you say you called us here to eat hot pot? You bastard. Than Long looked at him cautiously. No, wasn't it to eat crab? The knives are all here. Despite Back's pale face, his hands flailed wildly. Big brothers. No, it's not like that. Back quickly replied, we will eat after sweeping Thak Thien. Then I'll invite you guys. Min Vuong didn't bother arguing and shouted, I'm not going. Then he angrily turned to Back, you damn liar, beat him up. I won't need to eat for the rest of my life. It's because earlier when I was bullying some students, I ran into Thak Thien. The scene from the past played again. Min Vuong took step after step toward the young man. At that moment, Thak Thien immediately noticed him. He approached and placed his hand on Min Vuong's neck. Without a word, Thak Thien lunged and punched him hard in the stomach. Min Vuong groaned in pain, clutching his arm. His entire arm was broken from the blows. At the same time, Than Long lost his mind as well. He frantically shouted, don't let me hear that name again. Don't let me hear that name again. Seeing this, Min Vuong stared blankly at Than Long. Than Long shouted again, why do you think so irrationally? Go confront him. Suddenly, Than Long tore off his covering cloth. You know Than Long's tattoos are because last time Thak Thien pressed me against the wall. The image of Thak Thien smashing his head against the wall with his bare hands, as if it happened just yesterday. Than Long puffed his chest forward and shouted loudly, it's already been scrubbed off, terrifying everyone with his tragic expression. All right. Seeing him like that, Min Vuong cried pitifully, don't provoke him. Than Long flailed on the ground. Why? Why mention the name Thak Thien? In an instant, chaos erupted. The group screamed wildly, oh my God, you devil. Get lost. Why would you want to hurt us? Short Hair couldn't help but cry out loud, why? Why do you insist on mentioning the name that shouldn't be mentioned here? So miserable. The people below kept clutching their heads. My chest hurts so much. Help me, oh my God. At that moment, Silver Hair shouted out loud, enough, I know none of you can beat him. But right after that, he swung the photos up high forcefully. The crowd looked blankly following Silver Hair. At this moment, the announcement was made. This is the real Thak Thien now. At the same time, one of the photos struck directly in front of Min Vuong. As soon as he saw it, he acted like he saw a ghost shouting, "I won't look, I won't look." Silverhair tried to persuade him, "Just look a little, just a little." Min Vuong kept refusing, "I won't look, I won't look." After a while, he gave a dazed look at the second photo. Min Vuong pointed in horror at the boy inside. "This is Thak Thien. Isn't he an angel?" Seeing this, Silverhair quickly confirmed, "That's him. That's him now. After we set the fire, he went for surgery. Then he got skinny." After his confession, the crowd fell silent, each frozen in place. At this moment, Than Long spoke up, breaking the tense atmosphere. "So Vuong Min, old man. Vuong, what do you think? Still don't know." "Decide quickly. I still have to go home and do homework." Min Vuong said hesitantly. "I don't know yet. Can I try?" In an instant, he restored his image, his voice ringing with authority. "So what's your plan?" Silverhair calmly proposed a very simple idea. "Gang up on him. First, I want to use the most devious trap to lure him out." At the same time, the school bell rang continuously. At that moment, Vang Ho peeked into the classroom. Inside, most of the students had already left. Nervously, he approached Thak Thien's desk. Turns out the most devious trap in the hearts of boys is writing love letters. To lure him out, and I have to be the one to deliver it. I clearly want to be a good person. Vang Ho quickly shoved the letter into the desk drawer. "In short, just put it in quickly." As he shoved his hand in, a bunch of letters fell out. They kept falling to the ground with no sign of stopping. Witnessing this, Vang Ho almost froze. He quickly gathered them into a bag. A sudden thought flashed through his mind. Hurry up and burn them all. Your dad here won't be a good person anymore. 10 minutes later, Thak Thien walked in from outside. He calmly walked to his seat, crossing his legs. At this moment, Thak Thien quickly pulled out his chair. Suddenly, he noticed the letter. His hand unconsciously pulled it out. Thak Thien focused on reading every line. The letter began clearly with the sender's name addressed to Thak Thien. "You've been good lately, which makes me like you very much. So after school, hurry here. Come to street 20 block, 20 alley 20. We're gathering here to confess. Don't bring weapons. If you dare bring them, we won't come either." So cowardly. Upon reading the last sentence, Thak Thien fell silent. After a while, his expression turned angry. 2 hours later, the sunlight was gradually replaced by dusk. At the same time, 2 male students happily passed by an alley. In another scene, the thugs began to surround Thak Thien. He just looked up at them with indifferent eyes. Meanwhile, the group gave Thak Thien hostile looks. At that moment, Silverhair suddenly shouted, grabbing his attention. Thak Thien boldly stepped forward 1 step. "You didn't expect this, did you? Maybe still lost in fantasies with your little sisters, right?" Silverhair slapped his chest. "Today is the day you die." Seeing him, Thak Thien remained silent. After a while, he spoke in a low voice. "Why would someone write a love letter with such an ultimatum inside? Truly a face both familiar and adorable." Speaking of which, Thak Thien stomped his foot hard on the ground. "You guys," he looked lovingly at the itching for a fight crowd. "You want to pick a fight, right?" Hearing this, Silverhair shouted angrily, "You insolent brat! We're all killers without a shred of mercy, you bastard." He immediately spun around to face behind him. "How dare you look down on us?" Meanwhile, the thugs had already obediently crossed their arms. Min Vuong trembled violently. Tianka, good morning, we're just passing by." Then Lung quickly interrupted. "Don't misunderstand, Tianka. We're just out for a stroll, just a stroll." Then Lung watched the group's rapid change in mood. Silverhair angrily questioned, "Aren't we here to beat him up?" Before Silverhair could finish, Min Vuong quickly covered his mouth. Then Lung also didn't rest and covered his mouth as well. At this moment, Min Vuong angrily shouted, "Enough, stop talking. Are you crazy? Don't go looking for death and drag us down with you." Than Long hurriedly explained, "Thak Thien, you bastard, don't overthink it. We're just going to eat hot pot." No, Silverhair frantically struggled. "Bastard, let me go." But over here, Thak Thien showed an indifferent expression. "So that's how it is." As expected, still itching for a fight. He slowly raised his arm, his gaze sharpening. We only see Thak Thien clenching his fist tightly. Then he forcefully twisted his arm, inside silently calculating whether to intimidate a little. Witnessing this, the group was nearly stunned. At that moment, a bone cracked loudly, pain immediately spreading. Thak Thien's eyes widened to the max. He slowly lowered his arm. Then Thak Thien quietly pulled it back behind him. His face momentarily tensed. His mind screamed wildly, "Pain, it's bone-breaking pain. No, it shouldn't be like this. Could it be that this body design actually makes me weaker now?" Thak Thien's face turned pale. "What the hell? This is already a boiling point. Handsome for what? He helplessly collapsed to the ground. The power he once had he was used to. Only when it's gone does he start to crave it. Thaktian looked at the silhouette of his former self. He longed for strength. He reached out to touch his previously bulky figure despite everything. At this moment, Thaktian was almost motionless. The group stared at him in shock. Thaktian, what's wrong with him? How come he's frozen right after one punch? The person beside hesitated. Who knows, but that punch sounded really loud. Another quickly moved, too strong. Someone else whispered in the wind, should we run? At that moment, Min Vuong loudly ordered, wait, no! The group looked at him dumbfounded. Vuongmin, old man, old Vuongmin. He looked up and slowly said, if this were the old Thaktian, this wall would have been broken by now. But right now this wall is still intact. As the words ended, a sudden suspicion flashed. Could it be that he really... Immediately, Min Vuong glanced at Silverhair. You told us to come here. Now you go over there and try it. Silverhair momentarily blanked out me. Me! At Min Vuong's suggestion, Silverhair's whole body suddenly trembled. After a moment, he forced a friendly smile. Thianka. The moment Thaktian saw Silverhair, he showed an indifferent expression. Silverhair raised his hand, waving awkwardly forced smile on his lips. Thianka, this is just a misunderstanding. Thianka will always be my big brother. How could we dare touch you? Hearing this, Thaktian didn't even bother to listen and just scoffed. Meanwhile, Silverhair didn't give up approaching friendly. Isn't it true you got injured and hospitalized, then even had liposuction? We just wanted to surprise you to celebrate your discharge. Saying this, he cautiously reached out toward him. So please forgive me, okay? Meanwhile, an evil plan grew in Silverhair's mind. Once I grab him, I'll increase my strength. On the other side, Thaktian tense, watching every move. Is this a probe? He helplessly looked up at his arm, continuously bleeding. Damn it. But in that moment, Thaktian's eyes lit up. His palm began to radiate heat. Immediately, Thaktian raised his hand toward Tokbak. He sneered involuntarily. All right, if that's what you want, don't blame me. Thaktian quickly clenched his hand tightly. The heat from him immediately transferred into Tokbak's hand. He painfully collapsed to the ground. Tokbak screamed wildly. His body kept struggling. At the same time, Thaktian gritted his teeth with a tense expression and turned back toward Tokbak. He screamed miserably. Witnessing the scene, the Min Vuong group's eyes widened in shock. They all started fleeing. The screams echoed throughout the alley. Thaktian was still that ruthless devil, saving lives or not. Before leaving, the man loudly threatened, you lied to your old man. We came here to give our lives. Next time we'll kill you in the blink of an eye. The group had already run away. On the other side at the same time, Tokbak's whole body collapsed onto the ground. Only then did Thaktian regain his composure. He looked down at his palm, radiating heat. Immediately after, Thaktian's body involuntarily stepped back. He exhaled with difficulty. His mind was very complicated. It was just his struggling that almost made me fail to hold his hand. I almost got knocked down by him. Moreover, I'm starving. I was originally planning to go out to buy food but got too tired. Thaktian's eyelashes slowly closed. He couldn't help but feel confused. Am I really this tired already? What's wrong with my body after all? Before fainting, Thaktian was still worried. This hand is tied too tightly. What am I going to do later? In an instant, his eyes closed tightly. Immediately after, Thaktian fell face first to the ground. His body lay motionless on the cold floor. At that moment, a ray of light shone on Thaktian. Suddenly, a female student had appeared. She slowly walked over to him. Her eyes suddenly darkened. Only the object in her hand was emitting a strange light. Regardless, somewhere at some school, a very chubby kid. At the same time, a man puffed on a cigarette, a malicious smile curling on his lips. It's really hot. So he frowned, looking down at the chubby kid. Have you remembered the cool stuff we need yet? After a while, the boy hesitantly asked, so can I give the money this time? Before he finished speaking, the man immediately slammed his fist on the nearby door and shouted, go apologize to us, pig. Seeing this, the chubby kid panicked and bowed his head. I beg you, big brother, please don't hit me. This chubby kid had been bullied continuously at school for 3 years because of his weight. At this moment, the chubby kid lightly pulled at the edge of his wallet, which had already become very thin. Upon seeing it, his face instantly turned pale. The chubby kid helplessly looked down at the remaining money. It's just the beginning of the month and my living expenses are already less than 300 yuan. He painfully calculated. This month will probably be very tough as well. At that moment, a teenager suddenly pressed a knife against the chubby kid. Give me the money now. The chubby kid's heart panicked. No, this isn't good. He desperately pleaded, please don't, this is all I have left. The teenager coldly stared at him. Who cares? Your old man needs to eat crab. Hand it over obediently. Saying this, he pressed even closer to the chubby kid. Otherwise, in a few minutes, Thak Thien will strike hard. The teenager's whole body was thrown into the air. He mercilessly helped him stretch out his arms and legs. After a while, Thak Thien calmly threw the teenager to the ground. At the last moment, he smashed the boy's head against the wall with his bare hands. At the same time, the chubby kid's eyes lit up with admiration. A few minutes later, Thak Thien sat still, without moving, while the chubby kid kept twitching. After a long while, the kid weakly said, Big brother, thank you for saving my life. Thak Thien replied indifferently, It was just on the way, plus I also need to thank you. You helped lift a burden off my heart. Then he poured out a bunch of thoughts about a manhwa he was watching, where the main character was very fat and bullied by others he couldn't understand or empathize at all. Upon saying that, Thak Thien suddenly turned to the chubby kid, and you actually made me successfully witness an example of someone who's both fat and bullied. Thank you. Helplessly shouted. I never wanted to be bullied either. Afterwards, the chubby kid spoke with a choked tone. So what should I do to be like the boss and not be bullied? I've been bullied so badly that I don't even have money for food this month anymore. Faced with the unexpected question, Thak Thien didn't respond at all. The room fell into silence. After a while, he finally spoke, breaking the quiet atmosphere. I've thought about it combined with what I've experienced, I think. Thak Thien suddenly concluded, because you're still not fat enough. Hearing this, the chubby kid gaped. His weight and fighting strength under the fading sunlight became even more convincing. Just one sentence had already won him over. This was truly the truth. Thak Thien solemnly proposed, so I'll help you pay for this month's food. According to my eating plan, you can get fatter and stronger now. The chubby kid's eyes welled up with tears of emotion. I'm not fat enough. I have to try my whole life to be as fat as the boss. The next month, the chubby kid ate. Until now, because his money was stolen, he couldn't enjoy delicious food. But the strange thing was, every time he ate with the boss only ate green vegetables. After a month, his weight hadn't changed, but the boss said he had gotten stronger and told him to invite the bullies to come here. The chubby kid agreed quickly, regaining his spirit. He stood facing the gang, his voice trembling, but his eyes determined. Come on, I've been bullied so badly I don't even have food to eat. From now on, I won't give you a single cent anymore. The man shouted angrily, You pig, you called us here just because of this? I see your face is rosy this month. You don't look like someone who doesn't have food to eat. Not giving money anymore, itching for a fight, huh? The henchman panicked and stopped the boss. Wait. Another man hurriedly grabbed the boss's arm. Don't get excited. Look behind him. The group immediately turned their attention to Thak Thien. As soon as they saw him, the man was scared. Who's that half hidden behind the wall? That build is Thak Thien. The person next to him whispered into his ear, It's Thak Thien. Last week, that gangster Then Long got knocked out cold by him rolling on the ground. The week before that, Boss Vuong Min also got his arm broken and was hospitalized by him. No one should provoke him now. Everyone calls him the immovable King Vuong. Just then, the other guy added salt to the wound. Recently, people have seen him going out to eat with the chubby kid. Now he even goes along when the kid sets up fights. He's the protector of the chubby kid. Saying this, he fearfully looked at him. We can't see his eyes. Doesn't the chubby kid look like a tigress watching over her cub? Turning back to Thak Thien, his body started to move. Then he signaled with his hand, Get lost. He smirked maliciously, beckoning to one side. Take them down. In an instant, the group all fled. That day, the chubby kid successfully scared off the enemy, and ever since, the gangsters at school always avoided him. The chubby kid felt he really had gotten stronger, but his only regret was that just as he happily turned around, he noticed that the victorious boss who ate with him had disappeared. Since that day, he never saw him again, but he felt they would meet again. The chubby kid believed that he must be the angel sent by God to protect kids like him. Suddenly, while Thak Thien was lost in a trance, a voice kept echoing in his ears, Wake up. As the voice sounded, Thak Thien immediately opened his eyes, startled, sitting up quickly and quickly scanning around. Who? Trunglu whispered, I am the one from within your soul, the one who has lived with you for 1,000 years. Hearing this, Thak Thien was stunned for a moment, then he looked at him with contempt. Trunglu almost shouted, Your eyes have revealed what's on your mind. Don't look at me with those burning eyes. Don't ruin the mood. After all, this is our first conversation after 1,000 years apart. Then he lowered his voice and added, but now is not the time to talk. I called you because you're at the stage between life and death. If I don't warn you, you'll be drowned. Thaktian repeated in confusion, drowned. Drowned? What the hell is that? Tronglei didn't bother to explain. He seriously reminded in short, wake up from the trance quickly. Later when you're alone, I'll explain everything clearly between us. As soon as those words ended, the real Thaktian's eyes slowly opened. At the same time, the female student frantically poured the Coca-Cola bottle upside down into his throat. Thaktian sat up abruptly. Liquid continuously spat out from his mouth. A few minutes later, the female student clasped her hands, as if calling out to her classmate's soul. Thaktian, you're awake. Sorry, it's just that your body reacts only when I mention food. I thought maybe that would wake you up. Thaktian looked at her blankly. Wait a minute. What's the situation now? Who are you? The female student suddenly pointed at herself. Classmate Thaktian, do you remember me? I'm the one who talked to you in the hallway, said I dreamed about you yesterday. We just talked this morning. She nervously explained, when I found you, you were in an alley. At that moment, I was about to call 911. Then suddenly she noticed his stomach, but discovered it was making an extremely loud noise. Even now, she was still shocked as she told the story. I panicked and helped you to the nearest BFC. After that, no matter how much I called you, you didn't respond at all. The moment she recalled, she said that only when someone ordered food nearby did your body tremble. So she bent down and whispered into her classmate Thaktian's ear, hamburger. As soon as she said it, the female student almost came to life. Her eyes brightened. Immediately after she shouted salad, Thaktian's whole body trembled, seeing that the female student slowly approached him free chicken. At this point, she couldn't hide her joyful expression. I finally thought classmate Thaktian was so hungry he fainted. So I bought 2 bottles of Coca-Cola and knocked them into your mouth. As a result, halfway through, you woke up. He looked at the female student in bewilderment. Playing around is fun, isn't it? Playing around with your own body is fun. After a moment, Thaktian seriously replied, anyway, thank you, I'll pay the bill. Later, if anyone bothers you, just say my name. As he left, the female student suddenly called out, wait, classmate Thaktian. She raised her voice to remind him, please eat properly. Please eat properly. Don't starve yourself to the point of fainting again. No matter what, take care of your health. Hearing this, Thaktian's cheeks and ears suddenly flushed red. After a while, the female student couldn't hide her excitement and held out her phone to him. Also, here's my WeChat. But just like that, Thaktian finally got home that night and didn't forget to bring a large amount of late-night food. He still remembered the dream before waking up. He felt this matter was not over yet. Suddenly, his chest ignited. Instantly, Thaktian was engulfed in fierce flames. Amid the thick smoke, Tronglei suddenly appeared. Tronglei gave Thaktian a cold look. He furrowed his brows, eyes showing clear caution. Not bad, you showed up. Thaktian unconsciously stared at him. And in this situation, it really felt like a classic scene from the internet. Even the hair color was the same. Thinking this, he bit his lip in anger, feigning madness. Immediately after, Thaktian reached out and gripped the stick tightly. He angrily pointed the stick at Tronglei. What the hell are you playing at? Say everything in 3 sentences. Everyone's beaten you up already. Besides, now I don't mind beating some weird stuff to gain experience. Hearing this, he looked at himself in confusion, pointing, who am I? Then Tronglei quietly gazed at Thaktian with deep eyes. Awakened by fire, here I am again, beside you. My name is Tronglei, also called Trugdung, sleeping deep within your soul. I am your soulmate from 1,000 years ago. At this moment, Thaktian was nearly insane. He angrily clenched the wooden stick. You finished 3 sentences, but still didn't make it clear. What exactly are you? Seeing Thaktian's unusual expression, Tronglei was stunned. He suddenly sighed, no patience. This is just like your previous life. Let me get to the point. I am a soul fragment, a small piece of your entire soul. So in these past days, when you stood in front of the mirror and danced, I saw everything. Dad. At the same time, Thaktian's eyes widened in shock, his body starting to burst into flames. Tronglei smiled lightly, raising 2 fingers. The change in your body right now is because of me. Dad. The more Thaktian heard, the more irritated he felt inside. For at the last moment, Tronglei emphasized each word, Dad. I really am your partner, but not in this life, but when I was alive. Saying this, he suddenly pressed close to him. In the past life, you were my woman, young man. Immediately, Thaktian swung the wooden plank hard at Tronglei's face. Outside, the house shook violently. The sound was extremely harsh. In an instant, Tronglei appeared with a bruised face. He hurriedly spoke, what are you doing? Stop. Let's talk slowly. At the same time, Thaktian suddenly looked down at his palm. looking up at Trong Lei while smiling wickedly. Sure enough, hearing the word dad so bluntly must have been a big blow. So you unconsciously, Thak Tien said calmly. So now you can even hit through walls. He quickly advised, calm down, you're going dark. At this moment, Trong Lei couldn't hide his annoyance. He emphasized each word. It was a huge blow to endure. Just waking up to find out you're a boy. Back then, people always called you little DM. But in this life, you became a boy. Thak Tien held him, his pupils constricting as if his brain was drained. Little DM. Little DM. That name seems like I've heard it somewhere before. Thinking of that, he almost suddenly woke up. He remembered. Deep memories, those fragmented scenes. In that moment, Thak Tien suddenly appeared in a memory fragment. At the same time, Trong Lei smiled with excitement. Little DM. I'm going to manage the tribe now. This is the breakfast I left by the bed for you. Then he took out a pile of pure gold boasting nonstop. I already gave you this month's salary too. Get up early, okay? The woman suddenly croaked unhappy. She shouted, get lost, damn you, get lost. Still Trong Lei was not annoyed. He only forced a smile. Yes, I'm going right away. Her personality is really adorable. As soon as he finished speaking, Trong Lei hopped away quickly. Inside, the woman still kept her eyes tightly shut. At that moment, she slightly opened one eye. Right after confirming Trong Lei had left, the woman jumped off the bed. From inside the closet, little DM threw open the door wide. The woman's eyes shone brightly, her mouth involuntarily curved up. That stinky man finally left. He smiled excitedly, baby, I miss you so much. Right after the two rushed into a tight embrace. At that moment, little DM made a suggestion. Can we use his money to go shopping later? The woman agreed without hesitation. Whatever you want, I just want to be with you. In that moment, the lovers clung tightly to each other. Witnessing that scene, Thak Tien frowned deeply, mouth agape, snapping back to reality. He was almost dizzy. This is a memory from a past life. And seeing it again from a third-person perspective. Seeing this, Trong Lei interrupted what? You recalled some things about little DM. Although memories from your past life have nothing to do with your current life. Thak Tien stared at him. I suddenly feel a bit sorry for him. Thak Trong Lei spoke in a low voice, his tone slow. Let me explain. After you lose weight, your hands will sometimes emit heat, even smoke. That's why your body carries my fire element. He looked straight into Thak Tien's eyes, his gaze complicated. I'm also considered one of the longest practicing fire cultivators in this world, called the Fire God. So what's the price for his life? One day near there is a mountain called San Bang, where shattered stones from Ba Chu fell from the sky. At that moment, the man accidentally bumped into Trong Lei. The moment he saw him, he panicked and shouted, Fire God, sir. Hearing this, Trong Lei complained angrily. Why do you have to panic like that? Why panic so much that you end up breaking 2 of my ribs with your head? It's just a falling rock. Don't move, you all. Quickly, stand behind me. As soon as he finished speaking, he raised his hand without hesitation. The rock kept falling. Trong Lei kept shouting. Amid the chaos, the group began to run away one after another. Right after the rock hurtled down and crushed Trong Lei, one of them showed pity. Elder Fire God is dead. The person beside quietly questioned Elder, why didn't you run away? How foolish, the other voice complained. You just told us not to move. That's how Trong Lei died. On the way back, he kept complaining that the stones were too big. Before dying, Trong Lei was carried back by the tribe. Then he fixed his fire fate along with his residual soul inside his wife's spirit. The moment she saw Trong Lei, the woman subconsciously jolted. He leaned close and said, Wife, don't forget. At that time, Trong Lei spoke earnestly. After I die, you must burn yourself. According to the state of Trong Lei's fire fate, as long as the fire burns the body, not only will there be no harm, but the residual soul can absorb energy and awaken. That way he could continue loving Tu Dim Dim. But she simply didn't understand what I meant before I died. 3 months later, the woman's face became gaunt. She frantically consumed Trong Lei's fire fate. Although fire can burn everything, it needs a constant fuel supply, even absorbing the host's energy. Without any fuel to burn, it will consume the heart and lungs. Nearby, the farmers watched her in confusion. Who is that person eating like she's barely alive in the field? The person next to them immediately answered, the wife of the fire god. The other person blinked, repeating, Fire god, the man quickly explained. The guy who lost before liked to show off, then got crushed to death by a stone. At that time, resources were too scarce. So Tu Diem died shortly after starving to death unexpectedly. At that moment, Thak Tien froze in surprise. Really? He looked up at Trong Lei with pity and said, in short, don't be too upset, she never loved you. He barely heard that, quietly muttering. But I miss her very much. She had a beautiful body. Hearing this, Thak Thien glared warning. Are you crazy? Don't say that and come closer to me at the same time. Trung Le stopped and made a noble gesture, then bowed slightly with a mild apology. That was you over 10 centuries ago. Now it no longer concerns you. Since then, for thousands of years, no matter how precise, you have never been burned by fire. Truly unfortunate. Then he suddenly smiled. Until recently, you were finally burned by fire. Congratulations. Thak Thien stood, frozen eyes wide open. Hearing this made him want to kill you. What should he do? Trung Le calmly declared, and in short, I have awakened and your fire fate has been burned from that moment. He softly explained, this is also why your body has experienced abnormalities. Simply put, your body is the furnace and my fire fate is the flame. Every word of Trung Le echoed in his ears, the heat smoldering from your hand, the fuel at the last moment. He gave a brief conclusion. It is your own body. Thak Thien froze for 2 seconds, then shouted, is there no way to close this broken furnace? He only smiled faintly. If I dared to leave it behind. Of course, I have a way to control it. Hearing this, he almost regained his spirit. Trung Le suddenly spoke naively. But I forgot I'm just a residual soul. After thousands of years, I've forgotten many skills. Thak Thien hesitated, their eyes met, and he immediately lunged forward, grabbing Trung Le's collar. So what nonsense are you talking about? He screamed in fear. Let me go. Don't hit me. Although this feeling is extremely similar to your previous life. Thak Thien roared angrily. Get lost with your fire soul. Get out of my body. In that moment, his eyes almost blazed with fire. Suddenly, the sound of stomach gurgling reached Thak Thien's ears. He clutched his stomach and collapsed on the floor, yelling wildly, Damn it! Thak Thien stared blankly at the ceiling. The gurgling reminded him, It's mealtime. I haven't eaten anything for 2 hours since I got home. So finally, the worst thing right now is hunger and the harsh truth hitting him together. In front of him was a patch of darkness, seemingly right ahead. This bastard fainted at the exit. At this moment, Thak Thien quickly grabbed his phone and swiped through his expenses, finally stopping at the last balance. His face turned pale. What more expenses than income? Why is it so bad right now? In this emergency, Thak Thien weakly spoke. Fire God, fire God, fire God. Trung Le was momentarily scared. Why do you still want to fight me? He angrily retorted, Fight you, you monkey. I'm already so full, I can't move, almost starving to death. I gathered the leftover food on the table here, peeled the fruit, so much food already. Hurry and bring me those bowls, lots of oil, salt, and fat. I love them to death. Ignoring everything, 18 minutes later, Thak Thien kept eating. The noodles in his hand, no one knows how much time had passed. Plastic boxes piled up on the table from the noodles. Finally, Thak Thien excitedly slammed his hand on the table, threw his head back, and exhaled a throat-burning breath, laughing hoarsely alive. It really is spicy broth. Unexpectedly delicious, and with so much oil, salt, and calories, truly a direct path to my stomach. Trung Le stood aside, watching intently with an indescribable expression. You look very immersed. Is it really that good? Thak Thien patted his belly hard and loudly declared, This life of mine is all thanks to the spicy broth, and if I die of hunger, then you are the one who killed me. He startled and awkwardly waved his hands as if wrongly accused DMDM. It's not on purpose, I really swear. Hearing this, he angrily shouted thunderously, Don't call me by that disgusting name anymore. Hey, Thak Thien started negotiating. Consider it a favor from me, this life. We're not husband and wife, but siblings, okay? Or father and son too. Just don't call me little DM. DM anymore. I'm the dad calling you a dog. You call me once, I call you once. Hearing that Trung Le was silent and didn't reply, he seriously nodded and raised his hand for brotherhood, agreed good brother. After that, Thak Thien spent an hour dazed in the corner, trying to digest all that huge information. Trung Le approached, and he helplessly told him to back off. You're annoying, stay away from me. Thak Thien's appetite is 20 times that of a normal person each meal, even though it's only 7 yuan. But at this rate, food expenses will exceed 10,000 yuan. Thak Thien's father is a sumo wrestler abroad. They are very strict in managing their finances. The reason for asking for food money like this won't be believed at all. Thinking of this, he burst into tears like a child, money, food, money, food. Later, he feared he could only rely on himself. Thak Thien suddenly had the idea that being a food blogger might be good too. But before embarking on this path, as he regained his composure for a moment, he didn't know how to handle the next meal. It's unimaginable how abundant food is nowadays. Then I might as well have starved myself a few hours ago. At that moment, the phone suddenly lit up. Trung Le curiously approached. You have a glowing box on you. He quickly grabbed the phone. His eyes almost glued to the screen. Inside was a message from Thak Thien's female classmate. Are you there? Remember me. I'm the girl Coca, the one we exchanged numbers with that morning at KFC. I can ask you for a favor. Can we talk more tomorrow? I'll pay you with meals. As soon as he read the last line, Thak Thien's face stiffened. His eyes suddenly lit up. His heart couldn't help but rejoice paid meals. Thak Thien quickly replied without thinking, help, right now. Hurry and invite me out to eat. Seeing him rush off like on the wind, Trong Lei hurriedly called out, Hey, where are you going? Thak Thien casually answered, looking for a way to live. Scene shifts to a restaurant. The place has a strong, ancient style. At the same time, the female student and Thak Thien sat neatly at the table. Thak Thien frantically gnawed at the food mouth, moving non-stop. Sorry for being late to meet you outside. I'm at the brink of death. She was momentarily startled, huh? At death's door, the female student puffed out her chest as if about to say the most important thing of her life. Anyway, I'll be straight with you. Hearing this, he turned to look at her seriously. Tell me who's bullying you. The female student quickly suggested, Classmate Thak Thien, can you work at my place? At the invitation, Thak Thien was stunned. She spoke continuously as if afraid of being interrupted. My family opened a gym. Classmate Thak Thien, I've had this plan since you returned to school. So can you work at my place for a while? Also take some promotional photos. Afraid Thak Thien wouldn't understand, the female student hurriedly explained, it's the comparison between before and after losing weight. I can give you anything. He quickly replied, no need, just cover the meal money. She waved her hand in panic. No, that's not a disadvantage. Already gave it to you, Thak Thien confirmed once more. It's fine, just feel free. Despite being 19, the scene shifts to the gym for self-transformation. Thak Thien's chubby figure was prominently displayed at the entrance. The cover even emphasized the brave who dare to face their own weight. The gym for self-transformation offers a card to get slim. On the opposite side, a crowd rushed in. Everyone was competing fiercely. The female student looked bewildered at the crowd. So many people. Maybe all the girls in the world had gathered here. She instinctively opened her eyes wide. She had never seen so many people come like this. Looking closely, less than half were actually asking about registration. The female student glanced around. The rest were just drooling. At the same time, a shy young woman made a request. Sir, can you be my personal trainer? He responded quickly like a machine. I'm not qualified to be a trainer yet, but if you register, I'll do my best to help. Boxing. Upon hearing this, she quickly dashed toward the female student. The young woman slammed down a registration form for a 3-year membership. Returning to Thak Thien's side, a woman suddenly cut in. Can I touch your chest? She shyly explained she wanted to understand the effect after working out. Thak Thien lowered his head, observing the woman's every gesture. Then he bluntly placed his hand on his own chest. At the sudden move, the woman's cheeks flushed bright red. Meanwhile, Thak Thien showed a blank expression. In his mind, echoes like memories rang out. Such a familiar feeling has happened many times before. Like a boy at school rushing up and calling him dad. Thak Thien silently thought, except feeling a bit lighter, there's no difference. At the same time, the woman frantically ran over to the female student for a 5-year premium membership. For 5 years' worth of sessions at the Brave Tokiwa Hot Pot Club. The female student excitedly stood up. Boss, what do you want to eat? Just one morning and the membership count is already over 300. We can just eat gold then. Hearing this, Thak Thien carefully flipped through the menu. Then he calmly said, then 5 servings of each dish. Her eyes widened. Huh? Eating that much, are you trying to get fat again? The female student painfully pulled out her wallet, but in the end had to take care of this money-making tree. So even if it's a bit expensive, I'll pay. I'll settle the bill. Thak Thien silently prayed that if he could go back, it would be great. He lowered his voice to explain more about the package later. Thak Thien set a condition. Also, I hope dinner can be at the least crowded time, so I can train alone on the practice field a bit for my body. Saying this, he stared again at his hand radiating heat. The first survival issue was solved. Next was figuring out how to become strong. I have to take the initiative. Thak Thien learned in high school there are 2 fighting styles. First, humans. Thak Thien is so fat no one can beat him. Second, which lasts longer, the main character isn't a student, but the school's homeroom teacher. The female student bowed her head and breathed heavily. Teacher, please have mercy on me. She pleaded earnestly. I was late because I studied late last night. The homeroom teacher suddenly interrupted. No. The female student looked up in confusion. He quietly demanded she stay still. The homeroom teacher knelt down and adjusted her uniform's hem. Your bow is crooked. Even if you're scared, you must look neat and beautiful. Only then can I let you in. He lightly pushed up his glasses. Being late is being late. What needs to be remembered must be remembered, but no matter what, don't stay up late again. You are the most beloved students of teacher Lum Fatin, 28 years old. The homeroom supervisor spoke cautiously. As soon as she was forgiven, the female student quickly ran into the classroom. At that moment, the homeroom teacher suddenly turned around. Then the next person, this student stepped forward. He questioned sternly, "It's already 10 o'clock. You're already late. What's going on with your right hand?" Talkback snapped irritably. "Stop whining so I can get in. Your dad fell and got hurt." Hearing this, the homeroom teacher's mouth twitched repeatedly. No, that's not right." He immediately judged it was a burn. The homeroom teacher glared at him. "What's going on? It's not a fight, right?" No matter how you look at it, it's clear someone hurt the teacher's beloved student. The legend related to Lamfathian happened 4 years ago. That teacher was a proctor for some semester exam. Despite 24 years ago, the whole classroom fell silent. At the same time, Min Vuong sneakily glanced toward the teacher's desk. He darted his eyes down at the cheat sheet, writing frantically. At that moment, Fathian suddenly slapped Min Vuong's shoulder hard. He didn't look at him, but quietly told the student not to cheat. "Hand over the cheat sheet now." Hearing this, Min Vuong put on a smug face. He slammed the table hard and stood up abruptly. Min Vuong angrily grabbed Fathian by the collar. "Hey, how old are you to dare boss me around?" His voice was cold as ice. "I'll say it again. As a student, you must not cheat. Hand it over now." At this, Min Vuong looked down in horror. His grip was very strong. He couldn't help but feel a bit shocked and couldn't let go. Immediately, Min Vuong bluntly declared, "Your dad's done. Submit your paper." Before leaving, he didn't forget to threaten. "Just you wait. Give it to me." As soon as he finished speaking, Min Vuong slammed the door shut. Meanwhile, Fathian pushed up his glasses slightly, eyes fixed on him. Students cheating in exams, acting arrogant like that, always have their reasons. He seems to be considered the school's top bully, to the point teachers turn a blind eye. The biggest gang leader in this area is actually his older brother. Min Vuong clenched his fists. That day after school, as soon as Fathian went out, he saw him. At the same time, the thug crushed his cigarette underfoot. Step by step, he approached him. "Hey, you're the homeroom proctor, right?" Hearing this, Fathian simply replied briefly. The thug gritted his teeth. "I'm telling you, having bloodshed in front of the school gate isn't good. How about you come with us for a little trip?" Seeing this, he just gave him a cold look. Lamfatien was taken away, but that wasn't the end of it. 7:45 p.m. Lamfatien was taken hostage and left the school on a motorcycle. At 8 p.m., some students who knew about this couldn't hold back and reported to the police. At 9:10 p.m., police raided the hangout spot of notorious gangsters. Then the police threw open the door. Be honest, now we're the police. Before stepping in, the crowd inside was so terrified they froze. Fathin appeared with a bloodied face. At his feet were dozens of bodies piled up. Blood covered the ground everywhere. The police at the scene were terrified. According to the report, there were 23 people in total. 18 had broken bones, 3 were seriously injured, and 2 were unharmed. Moans and cries filled the place. The teacher, covered in blood, calmly sat there grading papers. He carefully looked at the paper. "Min Vuong, you're wrong again. You have to use this formula to solve it." "Yes, sir." Next to his feet, the student who had earlier talked about avenging that teacher was now trembling. Now he's shaking uncontrollably. Yes, I will definitely study seriously." At the same time, the police team was almost stunned. At that moment, Fathian slowly turned his head. He gave a cold smile. "Police, you guys have arrived. Sorry, I was just threatened by them and couldn't hold back, so I hit a little harder than I should have." Since that day, Lam Fathian became a legend. He returned to the gym to change himself. Inside, Thaktian was furiously punching the punching bag. He paused for a moment, breathing heavily. Then Thaktian swung his fist once more. At the last moment, he landed a strike that sent the punching bag flying. Regardless, 21. Talkback was so scared, he gritted his teeth and bit his tongue. This isn't good. That guy is notorious for being strict and violent. Lam Fathian's arms suddenly reached out. "That's right, teacher remembers you." He slowly squeezed Talkback's shoulder. "You're in 12th grade, right?" His face twisted in confusion, utterly clueless. But in this critical moment, he suddenly realized something. Wait a minute. Talkback clenched his hands, full of joy. "But isn't that good? The teacher will help me out." Then he hesitated before speaking. "Teacher, do you remember someone named Thaktian in 11th grade? Lam Fathian raised an eyebrow, curious. He pushed his glasses up slightly. 11th grade, not very close, but somewhat memorable. "By the way, describe him a bit." "He's chubby with a sly smile immediately spreading across his face." Talkback was acting up. He deliberately looked awkward. No, I'm just asking." Talkback resentfully explained. My hand really got burnt. It was by some bastard with the same last and first name as him, but a completely different body. He even covered his face and cried to make it more convincing. He pretended to shake my hand, but hid something in his palm, and I got burned so badly I passed out. That's terrifying. Just thinking about it makes me shiver. I haven't been able to do my homework for days. Lamfatian somehow caught a few words like pitiful little brat who doesn't want to do homework. In the end, he relented. All right, stop doing the homework for now. I'll talk to your homeroom teacher. Go to class. Talkback was proud to have passed that hurdle and ran off happily. But just a few steps later, Lamfathian's voice suddenly rang out, and he warned him with a dark expression, "Help me find out where that kid is." Elsewhere, Thaktian kept exhaling heavily. Lee observed with satisfaction, "This is your current condition, and Mr. Dinnin declares you extremely healthy. No back pain, no numb legs. Even after punching hundreds of times, you didn't run out of breath. This is the unreasonable part where my fire fate used fire to burn inside your body." Then Tronglei even gave a thumbs up like a loving husband to you now. Among people your age, your health qualities are outstanding. Contrary to that excitement, Thaktian only frowned full of fear. He thought to himself, to adapt to work, I took a week off. Conveniently used everything in the gym. Afterward, no matter what testing methods were used, they all made me realize one thing. Half of that face darkened. I'm done for. He remembered himself before able to knock someone away with one move. Thaktian grabbed the other's shirt. Stop joking around. I could have ripped this punching bag apart with one punch before. Tronglei was pinned down and beaten up. Calm down, beloved good brother. But when you're weak, you become handsome instead. That afternoon, Fathian stood in front of the building called the Self-Change Gym. He placed his hand on the glass door and pushed gently, but Thaktian inside still didn't notice. Later, he could only rely on non-stop training to get stronger. It was tough, but he finally set the weight down on the rack. His palm slowly relaxed and moved toward another weight. Using all his strength, he tried lifting it with one hand. Still, he couldn't hold it long. The weight was too much and his shoulder had reached its limit. Thaktian grew more desperate. I'm too skinny. If this were before, I could lift weights with both hands and run. My weight is too light no matter how good I look on the outside. Thaktian gently lifted it up. To his surprise, Thaktian widened both eyes and stared at the teacher. He also turned and gave a friendly smile. Hello. You're the underdog, too, huh? While talking, Fathian made a few moves with his hand. Looking at you, you don't seem like some thug. Just keep that innocent smile on your face. Thaktian, right? Thaktian was very cautious. Really? Then who is this? How do you know me? The teacher didn't answer immediately, but put the weight down. Then he suddenly clenched his fist tightly. The punch came without any warning, startling him. But Thaktian still managed to block it instantly. The force from Fathian pushed him sliding several meters back. His palm turned bright red and kept trembling. A second later, his bones felt like they were shattering with cracking sounds. The opponent calmly withdrew his hand. Fathian cautiously assessed I blocked it. That move could have directly broken his nose. Quick reaction, definitely someone with experience. Sweat poured down his face like rain. What kind of strength is this to strike like that in just a moment? My palm feels like it was punched right through. My hand is numb and trembling uncontrollably, completely losing feeling. Thaktian shouted loudly, "Who the hell are you, and why have you come?" In response to his question, Fathian calmly pulled off his tie-me. "I'm the karma for you hurting others." A little misunderstanding made him frown like that. Then I think I understand now. So this guy is an accomplice of those people. His attitude became more serious. Then I have nothing more to say. Trungli quickly appeared, intending to stop the two. Hey, wait. The words stopped suddenly and his hand lowered as well. He chanted a spell and brought flame into his hand. Thaktian walked away. "Let me help you. Over here." Fathian was still preparing. His hand was smoking. He took the initiative to rush forward with a fist. Fathian directly blocked, making the two face off. Sparks flew nonstop. Time then rewound 6 years ago to the children's training gym. The kid with fierce energy sneered at the newcomer. "Hey, my name is Longbathian, 13 years old. I'm the oldest here. When the coach isn't free, I'll ask new arrivals to train with you," he loudly declared. "But do you know why I do this? Because hitting people feels great. My dad hits very hard. He'll hit you until you cry tears." Bathian shouted at a big shadow, "That's you! Are you listening, newbie? A little chubby and you think you're tough." Thaktian, with a body several times bigger, just quietly looked down. "Your name is Thaktian, right? In the end, that kid couldn't touch a single hair on you." The kid then boasted about his 2 black belts, but the result wasn't surprising. "Still got knocked out by 1 strike from you. Seriously, why are you so weak?" Back to the present, his whole body trembled, as if about to break. But contrary to that condition, Fathian didn't have a single injury. He casually praised his opponent persistent. Your hands are still in guard, have been attacking normally for 10 minutes, right? Still standing firm. Fathian continued, I'm ready to admit defeat to you. But he sharply cut him off. Shut up. Thaktian frowned in annoyance, being chased and beaten by some nobody. After beating enough, then praising. He wants to provoke me, but I know how to stay calm. The first strike he threw was very strong. He had hit me a few times before. I responded but wasn't fast enough. But after that, whenever my fist got close, he immediately stepped back to avoid it. The smoke that Trong Lei enchanted started rising in his palm. After ignition, it burst into a small flame. Thaktian angrily said, Looks like your burn isn't mild at all, you nearsighted fool. At that moment, some strange thoughts popped into his head. Clearly, there was wind everywhere, but there was also an exciting feeling of finally finding a worthy opponent. Thaktian was determined to find out who among them would fall first. He was not afraid to accept that challenge either. Then let's try. Just after he finished speaking, the door was suddenly flung open by a girl. She anxiously asked, Is someone inside having an argument? I heard the noise and came running right away. Upon seeing Fathian and Thaktian, she yelled loudly, covering her mouth in surprise. Supervisor Lam is so crazy. He hadn't expected that either. Your uniform means you're a student at the school. Also, just now, what did you call the teacher? Her voice was awkward. What are you doing, teacher? Fathian? Such a handsome classmate. Why are you hitting Thak Dao? Hearing that, Fathian felt like he'd been struck by lightning. Only then did he realize the truth about his classmate Thak Dao. Half an hour later at a family restaurant, the two students sat down while the teacher stood. Teacher Fathian bowed solemnly and said, I apologize. I take full responsibility. It's my fault for trusting others too easily. The girl grumbled angrily. Exactly, you need to reflect on that. Meanwhile, Thaktian called him teacher and seriously asked, You hit me 26 times, can I hit back now? She hadn't expected that question and let out a loud shout. Fathian sighed and nodded in agreement. All right. He quickly poured out some pepper and stirred it thoroughly. Then he put the food in front of the other person. Thaktian grinned slyly. Eat up. I specially prepared a top-notch dish for you. Finish it all, don't leave even a bit. Despite that, he didn't hold a grudge and walked away. You've suddenly gotten thin lately. Almost no one recognized you, teacher, due to the misunderstanding. Not recognizing you was unavoidable. I forgive you, teacher. Fathian really ate it, which made her panic and want to stop him. Teacher. A certain feeling rose within him. Actually, this was the first time I'd met an opponent so evenly matched. Being this old, this experience was magical. I couldn't tell if I was happy or angry, but at that moment when I got hit, my heart beat faster. That night, Thaktian grabbed a bag of food and closed the door. Hey, you have to shoo away Trong Lei. If he dares to come sleep with me, I'll beat him up. You can choose to sleep in the kitchen. But he suddenly grabbed Thaktian back. Wait, Trong Lei looks very serious. I have something important to say. Curiosity made him turn around to listen. The afternoon story was retold. Your two hands caught fire during the fight, right? This was the first time I felt that 10,000 years ago. Trong Lei confirmed. Since then, I realized I could recover some of my power. From memory, I recognized two things. He raised one finger. First, I remembered how to restore your body to its original state. It's difficult, but better than nothing. Then he warned of the second, the teacher and that girl. Thaktian's eyes widened and mouth dropped open in shock. They both have problems. Trong Lei rubbed his temple to recall. That girl has something on her that ordinary people shouldn't have. And that teacher's aura, I still remember it now. Earlier while eating, I accidentally overheard him whispering. At that time, Fathian was indeed mumbling something very quietly. I was beside him and happened to notice that suspicious behavior. Fathian blamed himself. Lam Fathian, you're still so hot-headed, still so impulsive. You're simply not worthy of being human. From that, Trong Lei concluded the aura on him was basically not human. Thaktian still didn't understand what he meant, while Trong Lei smirked mysteriously. Interested now, aren't you? Do you know there's an earth-shattering secret in this world? He spoke each word with surprise. An earth-shattering secret. The other responded seriously. Yes, the ancient past of Trong Lei dates before I was born. Although I was appointed as the god, managing all people, I was not satisfied. I am full of curiosity about the world and the unknown. When he turned, he saw a gentle woman walking toward him. She said something to him and pointed into the distance. Because of that, he happily left. So in the end, with my own encouragement, I created a blaze and went out to explore. Once you leave for 3 years. Thaktheon, after hearing this, found it even harder to believe. 3 years and you're not afraid of people in the village playing a trick on you. He suddenly raised his voice and said, "In the end, I came back." At the same time, I discovered a shocking secret. Saying it would scare that person. His emotions changed too quickly for Thaktheon to keep up. Suddenly bursting out, he made a sphere-shaped gesture. I just went north without looking back. But in the end, I returned to the same place. This world is a globe. Thaktheon's whole body turned to stone. Even he was speechless. After that, he hurriedly bent his legs and ran into the house. Thaktheon quickly grabbed a book from the shelf. The Encyclopedia of Geography was thrown straight at Chonglei's face. "Is this what you mean?" He held his head in frustration. "Wifey not interested, huh?" He snapped back, "Oh, damn it, I'm going to sleep." Just as he turned his back, Chonglei acted mysteriously. Then I'll get to the point of the story. The journey continued. My past self had broadened his horizons about tribes and all kinds of plants. Drunkenly, Chonglei tried several kinds of herbs himself. I rewrote and drafted 7 kinds of medicines that even worms feared before his smile. Created the spirit, soothing and devil-nourishing potion for use. Now I remember one of them. He confidently concluded, "I am a remnant soul. If I can make this medicine, maybe I can recall more memories or finally regain my memories and learn how to use fire flame." Thaktheon immediately asked how to make it. "How do you make it?" "Tell me, I'll write it down." He quickly listed ginger, garlic, peppercorns, chili. He quickly wrote it down. The more he heard, the more it sounded like hot pot ingredients. Chonglei suddenly added, "Right, that teacher is another story. The important thing is the item she held. That's what caught my attention. That girl had something on her similar to a compass. I observed for a long time. Inside it, some miraculous power was sparking, maybe a family heirloom, or obtained for some reason. In short, it's not something ordinary people should hold. And that is one of the abnormalities of Thaktheon that the teacher you mentioned spoke of. He truly was not human. For example, I myself shouldn't be considered human, just a remnant soul. His reflected shadow was blood red, and the aura around him was somewhat insane. Those details only made Chonglei more convinced having this aura definitely means he's not human. In his imagination, Thaktheon smiled cruelly. Blending into the mortal world somewhere in a crowded apartment complex on a table was Thaktheon's memorial photo. In front of it sat a full incense burner. The curtain was stirred by the wind, making a faint rustling sound. 3 incense sticks were carefully placed into the burner by someone. Unexpectedly, Thaktheon was the one sitting there. "My friend, I'm here to talk with you again." He began to confide, "Today I heard a student I was wrong." This rare vulnerable appearance that showed at this moment. The person in the photo smiled brightly. Same face but different aura. The corners of his eyes reddened. "You're really good, but I can't imitate your appearance." His shadow wasn't human, but a solid bamboo body. It's hard to be human. The next day at the school where Thaktheon was studying, talk back, slammed into a wall after being pushed by someone. He trembled, begging, teacher, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have." Thaktheon gently brushed his hand before hitting him. He sternly reminded, "You shouldn't lie to me. The person the teacher hits always hits hard." His arm swung quickly, but the teacher had agreed once that he must protect every student in the school. "After all, you're one of those students." Thaktheon grabbed Talkback's collar. "So the teacher can only forgive you." He was slammed hard against the wall again. He threatened angrily, "Don't lie to the teacher again. Got it?" "Yes." Silverhair was so scared his face turned pale. "Yes, sir. Yes, sir." After hearing his promise, Thaktheon's hand finally released. Really, Thaktheon let him step back, so this matter is considered settled. "If you dare do that again, that terrifying smile will bloom and I will definitely break your nose and arm. Go back to class. The dismissal bell rings after the student's tiring lessons." Some girls started making noise. "Are you here to watch that too?" That person, after becoming so thin and handsome it makes people faint, is classmate Thaktheon. That's right, it's him. He's here. He's stepping out of the classroom now. Thaktheon was about to open the classroom door and enter as usual. His movement suddenly stopped when he realized someone was nearby. Thaktheon suddenly appeared and faced him directly. The female students around were confused. Who is that person in the hallway? That is the head homeroom teacher and supervisor of grade 12 Lam Thaktheon, who is both handsome and strict. "Teacher, why are you here?" the male students whispered in disgust. "Wait, Teacher Lam only talked about fighting, But could he be placing Chung as a legend along with Thaktian from before? So aren't those the two best fighters in our school's legend? And yet they ran into each other here. He spoke coldly to start this conversation. Lam Fatian smiled. The teacher was about to finish work, so he specially came to find me. Do you want to go home with me and then take a walk? Classmate Thaktian He led Thaktian to a lush bamboo thicket bathed in sunlight. The warnings from Trong Lei suddenly flooded back. He might be some kind of monster blending into the human world. Because of that, Thaktian's gaze was very cautious. Yes, Fathian definitely noticed that. Are you on guard against the teacher? Actually, no need for that, he gently shared. A few days ago, you weren't this tense even while eating. So the strong person behind you must have told you the news about the teacher these past few days, right? Suddenly, when Fathian mentioned Tronglei, both of them were truly surprised. Tronglei didn't expect this. He could detect it. So I see yes, and Thaktian straightforwardly admitted it without denying right. Fathian's attitude remained unchanged, just as expected. Then the flame on your hand can be explained, and talking will be easier. The teacher absolutely has no bad intentions toward you. Then why did you raise your brow in doubt at that? Fathian slowly told a story instead of answering. This land was once a bamboo forest before the school was established. Now only a small part remains. He raised the watering can in his hand to stop the water flow and directly confessed to classmate Thaktian, the teacher is not human. This is where he was born. Thaktian's eyes widened in surprise. Fathian's previous form was actually an old bamboo spirit, a mountain demon who after 10,000 years of cultivation could take human form. The teacher foolishly spent day after day here, finally becoming a thunder immortal up in the sky who suddenly descended. So that night the teacher went through a lightning tribulation, and because of that, smoke and dust covered the entire forest. In the end, the bamboo forest was burned by lightning. Only one area remained. Fathian and the other bamboo were more than half broken, and the teacher severely wounded and near death revealed his true form. The real person named Fathian stepped in to save him, taking him to dorm 26. The school is located on an open field surrounded by many trees. Fathian brought this broken tree trunk and planted it in the open ground. Its trunk was only a stub with a few burn marks. The janitor working nearby started a conversation. Is this the new teacher, Lam? What are you planting? Books and stuff under it. He cheerfully replied it was a bamboo tree. Didn't that area burn down yesterday? I went and picked it up to bring it here. That gentle look seemed to talk to the bamboo, hoping it could live healthily. At that time, it hadn't become a spirit yet, so it could only hear you and I are alike. We just arrived here. From now on, this will be your home. Days passed and many things happened, like a casually pooping at the tree's base and some guys casually breaking leaves to flirt with girls. At that time, Fathian was covered with marks left by mischievous students. The trouble didn't stop when a student made a powerful kick. The ball flew high and dashed straight at the tree trunk, making him furious. Wait until I can move, I'll kill you all. On that fateful day, someone pressed a cigarette ember onto his leaf, which then fell to the ground along with the still burning incense. Long Ka and his gang that all looked sullen. A young man happened to run by. Isn't that Long from grade 12? What's wrong smoking and looking sad? His eyes suddenly narrowed as if about to devour his opponent. That young man trembled violently. What? What are you doing? His henchmen shook their heads, disappointed by the situation. The guy slapped the kid's shoulder. No matter what grade you're in, if you don't want to get beaten, shut up. The person in front of you, Long Violent Dragon, has put 52 people in the hospital just this year. That threat came with Long Ka's frown. You want to be number 53? Your face is all blue and you're stammering like a fool, huh? That guy kept growling. I'm warning you, we're really pissed off right now. Just one touch and it could blow up. The main reason is that the school recently got a new teacher. The story is simple. This afternoon, a few of his phones were just confiscated because he was caught playing games hiding in the bathroom. Just as he was enjoying himself, someone interrupted his mood. Fathian caught that teacher red-handed, and he even dared to check our bathroom. Now each of us has to write a 5,000-word self-criticism report. But it's not over yet because just yesterday at noon, Long Ko was calling a lackey in class to invite him for lunch, and he got caught too. This time he has to write an 800-word self-criticism. Fathian even stood by that student to defend him, but the teacher insisted the boss must apologize to that brat Kia. The young man didn't know how to respond after hearing that. His underling spoke up near his voice. I'm telling you, all of us have been spun around like tops. We're really pissed off right now. Yes, the guy shoved him away to cool off his anger. I advise you to get lost quickly or it'll be trouble. Otherwise, I'll beat you right here. The young man immediately obeyed. Yes, yes, yes. After a moment of silence, Longcaw spoke up. Hey, all right, let's go back to class, or we'll get caught again. The guy frowned. Really can't stand it anymore, right? This bamboo was planted by that bastard, wasn't it? The threatening words made the little bamboo shake. Next time, water it a little. So that day, Fa Tien also went to check the garden as usual and thought to himself, why has it grown like this? It's all droopy and withered. All right, the bamboo heard the frustrated feelings starting to rise. After holding back for so long, it finally couldn't take it and shouted, Hey, brat, Kia, your dad is badly injured right now. I shouldn't be talking, but now I have to speak up so my cultivation won't get worse. Quickly move your dad somewhere else, or tomorrow your students will scald me to death with boiling water. He exclaimed in surprise, What from the bamboo you're talking? It kept shouting, I can not only talk, I can also be your dad. Its voice ringing in my ears, getting a guy like you with no future is truly 8 generations of bad luck. Are you crazy? If you picked me up, you gotta support me. I'm a tree among trees, but I'm the only bamboo. Clearly they want me dead. I'm about to be poked to death by passers-by here. The bamboo kept complaining, and most of the people tormenting me are students you teach. It told him about the students' behavior. I've been burned by cigarette butts. Some use me to practice martial arts. Others mistook me for a bed after being stepped on, and I've been treated like a chair to sleep on crooked all over. It angrily scolded him. Exactly how many brats have you offended? You torment your students, and then they come torment the tree you planted me. Truly a vicious cycle. Fa Tien regained some composure. What? So that's how it is. You're waiting for them. So what exactly are you? Earlier, I think I saw your mouth. Now the bamboo finally has a chance to introduce itself. Lao Tzu, although just a wooden ghost, a bamboo spirit struck by lightning, currently recovering from injuries. Its sinister laugh appeared. Right, how should I say it? I even have to thank you for saving my life. In a few days, I'll be able to turn into a human, and when that happens, why not let this big boss help you? It also reminded him, I'm telling you, there's nothing good at all in this school. Your picture is pinned by those students. I've been silently watching everyone conspiring with bad intentions towards you. Nobody thanks you. They're all waiting for a chance to take revenge. Not only the guys, but also the girls gossip. And those unrelated don't understand you either and just criticize you behind your back. The bamboo enthusiastically suggested that he take it out of here first, wait for it to recover, and then it would help him kill them one by one. What Fa Tien hurriedly signaled it to stop, then squeezed the trunk tightly and shook it. Don't hurt those students. It panicked and shouted, What are you doing? Let me go now. Fa Tien quickly dug around the tree roots, no matter what I have to get you out of here. Then he took it and ran away. It's really too dangerous for you to stay here, both for you and the others. He thoughtfully continued telling the rest, from then on I was forced to cultivate at his house. Living there for a while was quite an unforgettable period. The bamboo plant was placed in the corner of the house while Fa Tien sat working at the desk. He sulkily asked, Why didn't you let me beat up that student? This question made him pause his work and pay attention to him. Fa Tien smiled very gently, saying that he had also gone through that period, extreme, gullible, gruff, and vague. His words had no trace of blame, but due to lack of knowledge, he had taken the wrong path. He leaned on the chair and confided, I want to become the red driver who leads those kids. There are paths that look wide at first, but are actually very narrow behind. Fa Tien optimistically said, but there are paths that if you persevere will be lined with flowers behind. Hearing this wisdom, the bamboo plant was shocked 100 times over. He then turned to ask his opinion and said casually, I see you're quite gruff. Do you want me to consider you a student to confide in? He embarrassingly hurried to refuse. Are you crazy? Why suddenly talk about me? Fa Tien's tone grew increasingly quiet. From then on, for about half a year, the teacher quietly stayed at his house, cultivating by day and talking by night. The days passed so peacefully that the teacher forgot. Fa Tien was curious to know more about the hidden meaning behind those words. He clenched his teeth with hatred. The teacher forgot he was still alive. This was an extremely dangerous matter. The beginning of the spiritual realm, struck by lightning while weak, was also the time the cultivators craved the most. He covered half his face with his hand to calm himself. The teacher shouldn't stay at his house. One fine morning, the sun gently shone down on the bamboo placed opposite the dining table. On it was a plate of delicious watermelon. It begged him, let me put it this way, if you water me with watermelon juice, I will be like a person with taste. So hurry up and leave me some watermelon. Fa Tien smiled and immediately agreed, all right, when suddenly someone knocked urgently on the door. He put down the watermelon slice and went to open it. Come here, greeted Long Ka and his two underlings outside intercepting Fathin. The other guy smirked. Hey teacher, good morning. Was he scared by their attitude? Why didn't he wait? The noise outside caught the bamboo's attention. What's wrong with their eyes? They said nothing but pushed Fathin roughly inside the house, despite the 28 students' eyes full of killing intent. Fists were raised as well. A while back, anyone who wanted to use the restroom was locked outside. Long Ka monopolized it to smoke with his buddies inside. He muttered, I'm about to crash this term. I've been caught by that crappy teacher in all sorts of ways, even recorded 3 times. If this keeps up, I'm afraid I won't graduate next year and will have to stay here. The guy next to him was no different. Same here. The worst part is I'm so scared of getting caught. Now I don't dare to pee or take tests for others anymore. Still got thousands of characters left. The last one shouted, that damn teacher dares to let us slack off like this. Even smoking a cigarette, we have to wait for him to go to meetings before we dare to light up. The door suddenly swung open without hesitation, and the 3 inside flinched. By normal reflex, the young man wore the school uniform and smiled mysteriously. Long Ka silently appraised him. Never seen this face before. His underling loudly asked, Hey, who are you? What year are you? Do you know the rules here when we smoke in the restroom? No one else is allowed in, but the other guy showed no fear, even smirking. He became angrier. Hey, boss, we're pissed off here. You brat! In a fit of anger, he lunged forward, wanting to beat him up. The student stopped the lightest touch with just one finger, making him freeze, sweat pouring down his cheeks, his entire arm numb and unable to move. The other calmly replied, Violence and anger, truly undisciplined. And what year am I? Oh, I'm not a student of this school. My age is even greater than all of yours combined. Dressing like this is simply to blend in more easily here. The message that guy conveyed was partly lost. I am a monk. His fingers intertwined with the other's collar. I've been watching you all for a long time. This fist shouldn't be aimed at me. You all always have someone you hate, some magic hidden in those words. Why not nurture this hateful desire? Bigger, even bigger. Then let it explode, beat him up properly. Those 3 got hit straight in the head by that airflow. That's why Fathin is being assaulted now, their feet stomped down hard, holding his arms tight. I have to leave my footprints on his face. He still tried to reason with them. Hey, what are you doing? The gruff teacher replied, What am I doing? I've wanted to beat you for a long time. His neck was squeezed tight. Why do you want to obstruct us? Why do you want to change how we live? He struggled to get out. Because I want to. I want to. They punched him straight in the face. I don't care what you want. Their eyes full of hatred. People like us just ignore it. That's fine. This way you're happy and we're happy. Everyone can live happily and peacefully. Isn't that good? The reason Fathian choked was because the teacher wanted to teach them. Bamboo Tree helplessly shouted from the corner, Hey, stop it now. Stop. If this keeps going, I'll die for sure. Fathian trembled, trying to persuade them. That's because the teacher once saw that the wider the path, the happier it is. Bamboo Tree panicked, its eyes wide at the scene, then started to close. Teacher must show you. But before Bamboo Tree could complete its wish, its arm dropped limp. Suddenly, a blinding light burst in the room, shattering the glass door. The 3 students were thrown straight down the stairs because they deserved it. The loud noise woke Fathin from his coma. A familiar voice rang out, Are you awake yet? You can lie down for a bit longer. You have no problem except your student got thrown from the 3rd floor by me, and that's not a problem either. Bamboo Tree had turned into a human and was sitting next to me. Consider it saving your life. He was so shocked he sat up straight. You. Who are you? Bamboo Tree still had some leaves stuck on its head. I'm the bamboo tree you nurtured. I transformed into a human earlier than planned to protect you, teacher. It smiled. So now that I have a human body, I want to experience the path you always talked about. Want to teach me how the teacher... Despite the 29 stories coming to an end here, there was no continuation after. Thaktian asked, Is there some dissatisfaction or what? Trongley picked up a piece of melon before biting it. The villain just appeared. Shouldn't there be a big battle? I haven't even bought the melon yet. He lightly raised his glasses because afterward, the villain basically did not appear anymore. Since then, the teacher clearly explained the situation to him and continued to protect him. Actually, at that time, they somewhat agreed. Now, I'll be honest, the situation for the 2 of us is extremely dangerous. Those students who hit you were controlled because a monk was hiding in the school plotting to take my body. Fathin didn't care about that and blushed quietly, saying that sounded a bit pervy. Bamboo Tree immediately pinned him down. Shut up for Lao Tu. In short, I simply can't run anymore. Although I've been healed, if I leave now, it might be a long time before your beloved students are all slaughtered one by one, their souls extracted to make demons, then used to force me to appear. So he anxiously asked, then what should we do? Bamboo Tree immediately confirmed, do what? Of course, I won't leave your side. Not even a step. I have to be by your side to protect you at all times and not attract attention from others. If so, there's only one way. It came up with a great idea. What is it? I can conveniently protect you and experience the path you talked about. Want to try teaching me, teacher? In the end, what it was allowed to do was tap the chalk on the board. The desired GU means hoping to achieve something that shouldn't be achieved. Remember everything clearly. This is the key point of this test. The students in class were studying while showing some strange expressions. Fatin pushed his glasses up, as usual. The people below whispered, "Hey, did you see that? Do you see the ruler in his hand? This is the bamboo that he previously took from behind the mountain to plant, then flipped it over and brought it home, finally turning it into the official Kwangmin ruler, uprooting it right at the school. Before, when he chased us away, we thought he cared a lot about protecting plants and the environment. The bamboo also reminded, be gentle, brother." But Fathian immediately cut him off. "Shut up, the ruler can't talk." He hesitated before concluding the story. "That hardship happened 36 years ago. Since then, I've been the teaching ruler." Fathian added, "But it really did the job monitoring and preventing everything." He sighed and refused. All right, don't say more. The more I hear, the dumber it sounds." Suddenly, he got furious. "But this plan has flaws too. I was used for a full 36 years, then I knocked out 5 test boards. Because of such strict precautions, there's no loophole left." Lao Tzu protected him until he retired. The villain never once showed up. Thaktian silently judged this guy. Maybe he's someone who likes playing roles in classical Li Dynasty operas. Nearby others frowned at this kind of book as if preparing for a showdown the night before. Suddenly feeling utterly broken and uncomfortable, a gentle breeze blew through, causing a few bamboo leaves to flutter along. Everything happened very peacefully. A few years ago, that teacher also passed away from illness. In general, it was a short life. Since it was late afternoon, the sky turned a golden yellow. He finally hoped the teacher would gently take off his glasses. Here, continuing to follow that step, Fathian really... At the sickbed, he advised Brother Truk. "He truly has a longer lifespan than me. I probably can't be with you anymore. Do you want to try being a teacher?" So he nostalgically looked at the keepsake. So the teacher finally became a real teacher. The current glasses were left by him. The teacher is considered to have protected him and at the same time continued his life story. After sharing Fathian put them back on. The teacher has told all the memories. The teacher is still here now, partly to fulfill the deceased's last wish. Years ago, the teacher submitted a fake resume to the school. But having lectured for 36 years, there's no problem when teaching. One topic immediately shifted to another. 2, thinking about the culprit from so many years ago. The teacher's intuition tells him the culprit is still somewhere watching him. Classmate Thaktin called you here just to tell you everything, and also to ask you not to tell anyone the teacher isn't human. Please don't let other classmates find out, okay? Thaktin fell silent for a few minutes. Then he suddenly smiled brightly and said, "The homeroom monitor is a monster, and this month gaining 5 pounds can surprise you. Quite a bit, nothing worth mentioning. I won't tell anyone." Teacher Fathin clearly looked happy on his face. He thought quietly to himself that listening to the teacher's story was honestly not scary at all. On the contrary, it showed the warmth of the teacher's experience with people no different than anyone else, with tears and smiles. Then nothing is impossible. The two continued to talk below, and the teacher also helped me with this a bit. "If the teacher were a tree, could you tell me where to find the ingredients for this medicine?" Let the teacher see. The vision gradually narrowed in someone's eyes. The monk from long ago was actually watching them from above, always waiting for an opportunity. The following days passed peacefully. After talking with the teacher for a while, everything returned to normal. Thaktin sat in the cafe devouring each cup, then went to the gym to make the girls crazy about him. Going to the school gym also got him noticed, attracting the attention of the boys. Heard Thien's dad attacked another gang last time. "Your dad really is my dad." That young man boldly offered water. "Dad, please have some bitter melon juice." He declined. They didn't want bitter melon juice. They wanted to Netflix and chill. When entering class, the desk was already covered with letters in every color. He had free time and opened them to read. noticed by the girls. When night fell, Thachthien sat intently at the computer. But there was also a strange kind of enlightenment. Fathian, during the earlier conversation, looked surprised and said, "So you just started practicing cultivation?" He nodded and replied, "That's right." Suddenly, he took out paper and pen to write something down. "Then I have to send you that website." Thachthien frowned in confusion. Fathian handed over a piece of paper with the website written in it. "This site has a lot of essential stuff. Anyway, find time to register, then call the master." Thachthien was now typing the characters from the paper into the site. He clicked the button to enter the mysterious website. At first glance, Thachthien was quite surprised. The green light from the screen reflected in his wide-open eyes. The page title was boldly printed, "Website for Preserving Traditional Craftsmanship." Below it was the motto, "Endurance, Coexistence, Courage, Mutual Reflection, Mutual Support, Sharing Honor and Disgrace." Not only that, there were many categories serving researchers: alchemy, hygiene, therapy, insurance, housing, cultivation, social security, transportation, and even a search function already suggested. The theme read, "Welcome to China Cultivation, Breakthrough Realm, Convenient Greetings for the People." Thachthien immediately slammed the table and shouted, "Holy crap!" He quickly picked up the phone and called, "Hello, Master. How do cultivators live in this era?" Fathian on the other end smiled and said, "You've opened the website right. Then it's roughly 1.2 million. Are you about to drop your phone?" The voice continued, "In this world, those with extraordinary abilities also include masters." He further explained to Thachthien controlling water and fire, detoxifying monster cultivation, soul-stealing body possession, various types of cultivation. But for people like us, there are probably about 1.2 million. His story grew more mysterious by the moment. Everyone was called that, and I unconsciously got drawn in. The phrase craftsmanship air from Fathien's shattered imagination. "Yes," he calmly continued, "these are all considered intangible cultural heritage. That's why there's a specialized website for these disciplines. In short, to prevent them from being lost, some seniors created it." I heard the government is involved too. Thachthien couldn't believe it and shouted, "Lost heritage, my foot, what does that even mean?" Fathian gave an example. "Look, the sniper bullet speed today is 1,000 meters per second, and most cultivators can dodge it. But a 5-year-old's gun barrel from a mortal shooting once can take them down. Every year, many criminals abusing supernatural powers are shot. Also, anyone doing things against the rules will be reported." In recent years, the master has been criticized many times for educational methods. Before, some cultivators practicing the old ways in such an environment wasted energy and gained nothing. Vuongtak, 25 years old, carefully practiced poison techniques, but the results were disappointing. His wife scolded him daily for not working properly and for getting poorer. In the end, that story was harsh. In the blink of an eye, his family left for the city to work. He soon bought a big house and land after that. No one studied cultivation anymore. Even Thachthien had to agree. "It's true, cultivation in this era is really unrealistic." Fathian added casually, "Anyway, just search for some information here. You won't lose anything. Later, a successor will guide you to interact with other cultivators." Every year, the Cultural Bureau organizes activities to bond cultivators, like travel gatherings, matchmaking, chatting, youth groups, and lectures. After hearing all that, Mr. Xe Samd's face became more and more unrealistic. Fathian suddenly mentioned something. "Right, every month you can also receive cooking oil and some rice." Thachthien immediately paid attention. "Wait, how much can you get?" I asked the teacher how many I could receive. Thanks to the teacher's guidance, I created a profile of a person with awakened transdimensional abilities. Below is a question describing the ability. Please mention a literary work that most closely matches your state, then fill it into Appendix 6.2. My hands radiate heat every day. Next to me is a restless spirit who calls himself the fire god, having just awakened after thousands of years of slumber. I immediately turns to ask Trong Lei, "Haven't you started learning how to read web novels these past few days? There's a novel inside about some brat with a ring, and inside that ring is some guy named something. I need to fill out the form. Hurry up, you might get food for it." "Nice." A few days passed, and after finishing the form, I didn't get any response for a long time. But on another level, something big really happened. Thachthien came to school looking even more radiant than usual. He pushed the chair and gently sat down in his seat. His eyes looked down under the desk. Following the familiar sound of rummaging hands, it seemed he found something. When he opened it, the thing inside blinded him so much he had to shout out loud. It was clearly a very valuable silver ring. "Here it is. Here it is." Thachthien immediately stood up. Who gave this writing letters and slipping them into my desk every day was one thing, but also giving me gifts, truly a big shot, but way too extravagant. All the students in the class had the same three-word expression, very confused. The silver ring even had exquisitely engraved English letters. Then exactly the next day, Thaktian pulled out a new item again. On the third day, it was a large, heart-shaped chocolate box. On the fourth day, that person gave Thaktian 3,000 billion. The fifth day surprised him even more because the gift was from a luxury brand. In summary, after 5 days, his desk was overflowing with no empty space left. Sweat poured down his face like a stream. This was way over the top. In his mind, he immediately thought of a messy government soldier. Seems like they were probing to see what I liked. Also, the gift giver didn't sign their name. Why can't I just return them? They want to serve the people, but don't want to leave their name. That day, he brought the box of love letters back. Then we asked Chongle, "What are you doing?" He rummaged through them while replying, "I'm searching through each letter. They're all sweet little notes. Dear Thien, when you read this letter, you owe me a hug. If you don't throw it away, you owe me a kiss. If you keep it, you owe me a date to make up for it." Thaktian seriously concluded, "These are all the love letters I've received since losing weight. I've kept every single one. Everyone was serious, and none of them could finish reading without throwing them away. By the way, to summarize the purposes of these letters fall into 3 types. He pointed out the key points one by one: wanting to learn weight loss experience, simply wanting to receive a father figure, wanting to crave my body, especially the last type, extremely passionate feelings, hoping to reach out from the letter and touch my face. These things were beyond Chongli's imagination, so he could only silently ask. The box in his hands was about to be thrown away in anger. And no matter the type, I read everything 3 times and never found a single letter that kept giving me such precious gifts. Is there a Santa Claus? Or what? Chongli chimed in with him. That's right, I'm jealous too. Thaktian immediately slapped him hard across the face. Later, he had to hold his cheek and say, "You think so? The person wants to remain anonymous, so you don't return the gifts." Thaktian was stunned for a moment, probably thinking that if these gifts could make you happy, but also give you a sense of burden like upgrading your idol status. He wearily leaned back in the chair, unable to take it. "Don't," Thaktian loudly declared. "I have principles when dealing with things. I don't need these things, just leave the tags and labels intact. Sooner or later, I'll pay it back. Actually, there's still a red mark on your cheek from frustration. It's really something when your stomach growls loudly in the middle of a chaotic mood." He lunged straight into the pile of gifts like a hungry tiger. "Chongle hadn't even reminded you yet." Thaktian just ignored his words. "Hungry, I remember among the things I received there was chocolate. I ate one piece at a time, disregarding the 32 rays of sunlight shining through the door on the sleeping person. Then a few days later, things got even more complicated. The phone on the bed kept vibrating non-stop from calls by an unknown number. Half asleep, Thaktian reached out to grab it. His tired voice sounded, "So early in the morning, who is this?" The person on the other end aggressively spoke. "Hello, is this Thaktian?" They happily announced. "Hello, I'm a customer care staff from the Intellectual Property Protection Service website. We have received your form. We will come to the address you provided in the form this week to conduct an inspection. But before that, could you join the VX group near the cities around you?" Thaktian immediately snapped awake and picked up the phone to check the QR code sent to his phone. Then this time it was a special notification just for him. His eyebrows furrowed tightly, looking very modern. The phone opened a QR code titled Shanghai Exchange Group Number Unknown. So Thaktian tried following the instructions to join. As soon as he entered, the messages flooded in so much it startled him. People inside kept advertising the Shanghai Exchange Group Number Unknown. Perfect flavor. Sweet, juicy oranges now on sale starting at only 58 yuan. You can buy a fragrant vitamin C-rich orange picked straight from the white lace Ren garden. Original price 69 yuan, current price 39 yuan. Free belt made of premium soft lace fabric, comfortable to wear. Great experience. 3-dimensional thin stitching reveals curves when worn, suitable for all occasions. Free shipping. How to buy IB. How to make money quickly, even while lying down. Thaktian gaped in astonishment. The conversation suddenly exploded. What kind of group is this? Just as he was regaining composure, the phone vibrated again. This time the message included a red envelope. "Fellow cultivators, let's all try hard today, wishing you prosperity and great luck." People in the chat enthusiastically responded. "Hello, Chief Trio." "Hello, Elder." "Trio Chief Trio is so generous, thank you, boss." He immediately noticed the person speaking, then the mysterious Elder Trio laughed loudly. "Another new day. This world is big fish eating small fish. Let's all work hard together. Cheers to our friendship. The others quickly praised me as I shared a bit of experience. I recently accumulated words of wisdom from Elder Trio. Thank you, Elder Trio, a role model in the cultivation world. A folder named Precious Books was sent by the mysterious figure. Thank you, Chief Trio. Thactine grew curious. The first thing that caught his eye in the precious books of the immortal sect was the bold title, How to Make Money on WeChat. At item 6, before scrolling further, he slammed the phone down, anger exploding inside him, his lips clenched tight. Still, Thactine politely sent a few messages. Awesome, awesome, I'm leaving the group now. The figure named Chief Trio shifted attention to him. Wait, we have a new member. Even after firmly leaving, Thactine continued receiving notifications.